You are ancient Greek mythology game. Kronos rising, but Kronos has fallen. What a session. Oh my god. Let me give you this recap. There once was a number of demigods who were thrown together by fate. Some died, some lived. Many pressed on past all terror, fighting and casting down mythical monster, even dragon at times. Titans, history itself, giants, I think I already said giants, but endless monsters, endless challenges until finally being awarded by Zeus himself up on high Mount Olympus, ambrosia, the drink of the gods. And the Demithots have been immortalized up on Mount Olympus, their legend surpassing perhaps even the 12 labors of Hercules. For in the end, Kronos was slain by them. The final battle ensued. The party sailed to the resting place of Typhon and defeated him. Mighty Ouroboros threw a great mountain atop his head as Zeus did in ancient days. Pursuing and fighting in the deep caverns alongside the greatest of the Olympians, the Demithots fought tooth and nail, sword and shield against Kronos, against the remaining storm giants, against the children of Typhon, and prevailed. But even then, Kronos would not let them rest, for he pulled them into the river of time itself. He slain, and they fought tirelessly for what probably felt like weeks. They battled and battled. It is alongside the children of Greece that they finally find themselves colliding in this commonality in time and defeated Kronos once and for all. He could not use his time powers against all of you combined. You were all too great, too mighty in the face of him. Cast through time, cast forward in time, aging exponentially, but finally defeating by the power of Katara, bringing death to time itself. Silenos bringing the end of darkness to the heart of that very god. Gyasi neutering the god of time himself. And in doing so, created from the foam of Kronos and the darkness of Nyx itself, creating a new god in that moment. Nyxia, the goddess of twilight, was there just to see the end of the battle and provide little to no help. It was in the end and in the defeat that a bubble in time was made by Hera channeling the power of Thalia's growing triplet children. First and foremost was Hera, born, and then Ivonia, and then finally Nia. And together they consumed the power of Kronos, becoming the new goddesses of time, and all came to its end. There, in the Athenian Acropolis, you claimed victory alongside the Olympians, the children of Greece, yourselves. It's over. And all may rest in peace. And most importantly, celebrate. Peace come to Greece. Victory come to Greece. The trumpet of Nike sounds, and all of you find yourselves once more back on Mount Olympus, which is where we will pick up our session today. Celebrations must be had.
You snapped with that music choice.
Thank you. Big appreciation. Celebrations are had. Lutes are played. Flutes are played. The gods gather together, sipping on ambrosia, inviting all that would be worthy of this momentous victory. The gods dance and sing and stomp the floor with their feet. All of Greece will hear the gods' thunder in celebration of victory, and all the lands will know the Titanomachy is over. Here in these high halls, as the gods drink, sup, and celebrate, what are you guys doing?
I think Silenos started off as a performer, so I think he's getting back into his satyr route. He's kind of dancing away, playing away at that pan flute. I imagine Artemis would be somewhere away. So yeah, he's just doing a little performance, maybe with Pan or with Dionysus, and then he'll step away after that.
All of the above. You, Apollo, Pan, Dionysus, the great gods of revelry, celebrate magnificently. And it is these gods, and yourself especially, God of Fellowship, who feel at the height of their power for
to start doing a jig and
absolutely. All this like fellowship, fellow camaraderie, this powers you. It empowers. Apollo, who is the god of all things worth living for and civilization, all things for prospering for, and Dionysus partying, Pan with mad revels. It's a good time, and indeed, when you're ready, you can step away to other things. If there's someone else you want to talk about, other things you want to do.
Yeah, I would like to step away after with Artemis and have a little conversation with her.
Absolutely. Artemis is dancing madly as well. All the gods are in revels. There's no reservation here, not even from the sternest of gods. And you find your way over to her, and her cheeks are rosy. With
symbolically, he comes with 2 cups of ambrosia. As he kind of they conflicted once on this, and now they're full circle.
Absolutely, very symbolically.
Yeah.
You approach, and she a little rose to her cheeks as the drinks are flowing. She will take one from you and laugh and celebrate, and say, "Hello, son. You've grown into quite the unexpected god, surpassing all of my expectations."
Thank you, Mother. I think it was your pushing me that kind of got me here.
She sort of smirks and say, "It's not every time an Olympian hears from their child that they did a good job as a parent. So I'll take it." And she'll raise her cup.
Not have made it out of the woods if it wasn't for you, literally and figuratively, that day. I have a question. I'm obviously new to this sort of godly power. I would like to give you and your huntresses a boon of my power in exchange for a favor from you.
Interesting.
I've always been a little bit more magical than everyone. A little bit more whimsical. I guess unnatural. I think your huntresses could use some of that to protect them. And I would be willing to sacrifice my form to change myself into more Olympian-esque, more human-esque, in order to bolster your huntresses in the name of divine service and fellowship. Our domains have intertwined always. I've picked up mine from yours, the teachings from yours, and I would wish to bolster your subjects. Figuratively, I would like to sacrifice my magical resistance, so I have resistance to all spells. I would like to kind of sacrifice my Fey ancestry, becoming more human, and kind of give that unto her huntresses, if I could, in some sense.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's something that's been really, really powerful for Silent. So.
Absolutely. Very interesting. I'll tell you what. This is very good. I think Artemis says that's wonderful and excellent. Let's find a way. It shouldn't be too hard, but perhaps indeed there is a new trial we set before the huntresses, one to teach them to hunt as one, and in that success they may be granted this divine boon.
I couldn't agree more. They must earn it, but I would like to bolster them in their divine service.
Of course. Well, I'm sure they will be very thankful for that. And Your patronage will not go unnoticed.
Of course. The only other thing I would ask, you know my jaguar, of course, and I dropped down its tooth and let it clink on the floor and then, like, paw out. I was wondering if you could make 2 more identical, but with almost mirrored personalities.
I'm very honored you come to ask me, but you are God now, Silence. You have the power to do what you will.
I know that, but this is a perfect creation, and when you want something like that, you come to the one who has hunted the most beasts and seen the most prey. This has to be the fiercest companion till Olympus's end.
I see. You want to create the spirit of an immortal warrior jaguar?
Yes, just 2 more, similar to this one, but slightly different, so that there may be 3.
Okay, I can make this happen. And she will, here in the twilight of the eve and the stars are beginning to blink out, she kind of pulls from this, she like kind of reaches her hand up towards the sky and almost pulls like a veil of moonlight from it. And as she does so, she sort of like pulls it apart, like ripping it in twine. And then they sort of fold upon the wind and take the vague shape of this jaguar creature. And from that moonlight forms these sort of astral jaguars where their spots seem to flow across them like the stars of the night sky. They're not jaguars. They look like
this is exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
Excellent. So these sort of starlit celestial jaguars appear.
Thank you, Mother. I will figure out how to set the huntresses on their path later, but I just needed to get this in motion. Thank you.
No, don't worry. I mean, Silenos, there are some domains that you can gain without the need for Zeus. I'm sure the humans already would consider you to be a god of archery, for example, one of a couple of us around here. There's much to learn about godhood. And
of course.
You have plenty of all the time in the world to figure it out.
I'd love to. Thank you. Let's dance and drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she sort of lets out like a huntress like war howl.
Yeah, he does like the same thing, like a party, like a war cry. Yeah,
exactly.
But like a party cry. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys kind of like dive back into the revels of dance together and celebrate. Absolutely. Fantastic.
All I would like to do is just meet Thalia at some point later, but that can happen whenever. I don't know if she might have anything else to do or anyone else wants to go, but that's my only thing.
Yeah. Well, this is a celebration. You guys have all the time to do what you please as you will. Who else? Who else has got stuff to do up on this high mountain that shakes with celebration and victory?
I'm gonna grab. I've been throwing up back a couple drinks with a Dionysus, and
yes.
Like him and I are palling around quite a bit, like over the shared love of wine. And I've been explaining my domain of like forgiveness to him a little bit.
Okay.
Like, and I say like we'll talk more of that later. I gotta go chat with my dad a little bit.
Okay. Sure. Have fun.
Have fun. I know if I need more, I know where to find you.
It's everywhere. And he like waves his arms, and all of the flaming braziers like immediately go out and just start like overflowing with wine through the hall.
I might. You're not always Dionysus. You may not be the most powerful, but you might be the most fun god.
I'll show you power.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm not. I never said you once.
I've ripped men apart for less.
I'm sure. Hey. Yeah. And we just nod at each other, and I head over to talk to my dad.
All right. You head over to your dad, who's just sort of like frolicking around the room, sort of clopping around with his pan flute, and everyone's clapping and celebrating. And then he kind of sees you, and he kind of stops and goes, "Hey!" And he'll run over, link his arm with yours, and do like a dancing spin.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I do it a couple times. I go along with it. Why not?
Yep. He'll dunk a mug into a nearby, what was a brazier, and now like a wine thing, and like hand it to put in your chest and say, "Here's to you. Look at you getting so powerful so very quickly. Beasts in evolution, huh? Looks like I'll be shepherding you there, lass, as I've been doing."
Yes, as you've been doing. Yeah, when the party's over later on, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the afternoon.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
Maybe, but like I do think like we should spend more time together trying to show me what it's like to live and be a god, you know?
All right.
To be like a god of the beasts and everything.
Well,
devilish.
That shouldn't take too much education. You've been a beast more time than most.
Yeah, that's what Maeve usually says.
Well, time to go back to your roots. What do beasts do?
Eat, sleep,
right?
Walk.
Yeah. What else?
Walk around.
You already said that.
Stare at mortals.
Sure.
Avoid being eaten.
That is very true. Survival is important.
Feels like just exist.
Well, you're a creative one, aren't you?
Is there one I'm missing?
Well, there is. They find people too. Well, depends on the animal, of course, but some will find packs, some make babies, some find mates. So while there is all that surviving and eating and walking and sleeping and eating.
I said fucking.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that. But point being is that in all of the surviving and all of the battling and all of the necessities, there is room for fun and merriment. If you're going to be a creature or beast, you're going to have to get a lot less civilized.
I'm also the goddess of forgiveness now, so can't go full wild all the time.
Says you. Forgiveness doesn't need to be boring.
True. Father, by the way, speaking of forgiveness, I'll admit that in the past I have looked down on you and your ways. And I think I understand now that everything has its place in its own way, and there is sense to how you do things. I hope you can forgive me for how looking down on you at times.
Already forgiven, lass. Already forgiven. When you live long on me, you see the cycle over and over. And you know what? You can apologize to me again when you pop out your own half-mortal babe and you're not able to be there every second of every day.
Yeah, we'll find. We'll see. But
no, trust me, eternity gets boring after a while. You're going to want to go mingle with the mortals.
True, but I'm not in a rush. I am immortal after all. Yeah!
That's true, and he'll cheers you. Yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of fun, where's that friend of Robo's, Kronos, who came back from the dead? Is he around here? Have you seen him?
Yeah, he's up over here on the mountain somewhere. He's looking around.
If you don't mind me, I'm going to go find some fun for myself. If you don't mind, Father.
All right, good lass. And he'll send you on your way.
And I share a quick mug with Hephaestus and keep partying on. Yeah,
there's assumptions that behind the scenes you guys are actually having a good time and reveling and partying and dancing on tables. If more than happy to act that out. But, we don't.
Yeah, no problem. I just make sure Festus doesn't stay a wallflower his whole life. Is all of his immortality.
He does. He's by the wall. Just
I hang out with him then.
Cool. You'll stand by the wall with him, and that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. who else? Who else? Who's got stuff to do or partying to do or anything at all?
I'd probably. I don't know.
Hercules comes over to you, and he slaps you on the back as hard as he fucking can, which just makes a thunderclapping sort of sound. And he goes, Ouroboros! Hey, look at you, the strongest god in Olympus, huh?
That's what they're saying.
Lifted a mountain, you're getting stronger.
Yeah.
One day, maybe you'll be able to do what I did and lift the entire planet.
Well, when you think about it, right? I mean, the heavens are pretty much just air. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You had the heavens on your shoulders. I mean,
well, tell that to me when I was immortal and it was heavy as fuck.
that makes sense. That I forgot about that part. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Well, I'm only kidding. You're very impressive. He's, everyone distracted him and whatever. It's not quite a Zeus feat, but who does have Zeus feats under their belt? But Zeus, you still defeated Typhon, huh? Only other god to defeat Typhon.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought about it until now. I mean, at the time, it just kind of it had to happen, you know?
Yeah, that's what I told myself when I gotta beat someone up. I kind of just goes red and it's on the ground.
You made me do it. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
And hey, God of Purpose. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't been doing too hot on the, fostering my flock portion of being a god. So
There's time for that. I mean, I barely do anything, and I have a temple in Sparta.
pretty dope.
I'm sure you're gonna get your temples. Hey, you got eternity. Decide what you want to do with yourself, right? Maybe just hang around here with me, and we can see how heavy a rock we can both lift.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the god of purpose. That's your job now, is to figure out your purpose as a god. I mean, you've got them, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Your purpose is purpose. And pain.
And pain.
Right. All right, well, share a mug with me, brother.
Let's do it.
And yeah, you guys go off and do a little drinking.
Yeah, I do a little jig as I go off to get the beer or whatever
Absolutely.
we're drinking, ambrosia or whatever.
Yeah, wine and ambrosia, hell yeah. Hercules dances as well. Absolutely. Have a fantastic time doing it. Gyasi, was there anything you wanted to do? I saw some raised eyebrows earlier.
Actually, I intend to have a discussion over a couple of drinks with Hermes.
Yeah. The good thing is you two are both fast as hell, so you're having a little private party off at Olympus will hardly go missed because you'll be back before anybody knew the wiser. So yeah, we'll say at this moment, somewhere else off at Olympus, you guys are like sitting on a roof with a couple of cups of wine. Yeah.
I want to run an idea past you.
Okay.
I'm in a unique position now as both the god of watchers and the god of thieves. Sorry, not sorry.
I wouldn't have had it any other way.
It occurs to me that in this dual nature, there is a opportunity to present mortals with a game.
Okay, I like where this is going.
For every, I don't have a good time reference, but for every Moriarty, there's a Sherlock.
You were in a weird place in time at one point, weren't you? Those are some weird names. Okay,
But
I think I get what you mean.
the greatest thief versus the greatest watcher, and they should work to make each one better.
This is interesting. Creating thieves to inspire investigators, so to speak, and having them help each other grow until one is the victor.
And then, in the next generation, it's going to be another pair that are fated to be in that particular dance, because those abilities, as the mortals grow them, will be of benefit. But I think that they'd only be in benefit if they had to work counter to one another. Because my takeaway from this whole second Titanomachy is I wouldn't have ended up where I ended up if it wasn't for Kronos and all of his minions. So that conflict is necessary. And if the mortals are going to improve, they need that feedback, and it needs to be feedback not between them and the immortals, but between them and them. And something less terminal than war. There needs to be a great game.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, they balance each other out, right? Give one exceptional powers of burglary and theft, and those powers need to be tempered by someone who can keep an eye out for them and try and catch them, and vice versa. Because, too stingy and things get boring.
That's my thought.
I think it's fantastic.
My question for you is, as the messenger and the
just the messenger right now, and travel.
Yeah, you're going to see more folks initially than I'm likely to, at least in the early years. Keep your eye out for a prospective thief or a prospective investigator, and lend me a clue. It'll take time for them to learn to send up prayers that I might notice and be able to take advantage of.
And I'll do just that.
And perhaps we can provide entertainment for all of Olympus as they do battle with one another in something hopefully less bloody than the Trojan War.
That's the hope. They do need entertainment, or they get a little cranky, don't they? Well, I will. I'll do just that. I mean, I'm the messenger god after all. I'll keep an eye out, and I'll let you know if I see anyone who's particularly You know what? Actually, you met him. Remember that one Persian half-orc guy who kind of kept floating in and out of different places?
Absolutely.
I think he'd make a great first thief.
Perhaps I will make a point of teaching him something I've decided to coin. The art of cat burglary.
Hey, maybe we should talk to Zeus and make you the god of cat burglary, and then I can get my domain back. That would be cool. And we can work together. There can be so many thieves. Oh, I'm very excited. I'll keep an eye out for a watcher, but you think about it too. I think there's tons of great watchers out there. It's the thieves that are hard to find because,
they have to be.
They have to. Exactly. They're hard to find by nature. So we'll keep an eye out for a good watcher because a good thief's hard to come by these days.
But I also wanted to say thank you. I know the relationship between demigod and parent is usually somewhat strained. Ours was more absentee, but that's a function of you needing to be everywhere at once. But
yeah,
that worked out okay. Thank you.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad. I do wish I could be around more, but yeah,
those messages don't deliver themselves.
They do not, and Zeus gets very cranky when they don't get where they need to go immediately. Imagine if sending spells stopped working for a day. Ugh, I'd never hear the end of it.
Perhaps if Festus can invent something that will foster an ease of communication.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, some instant messaging system? That would be crazy. All right. Well, we better get back before they miss us.
Before they realize we've left.
Exactly. And as fast as the eye could see, Gyasi, ever so fast like his father, it's like they never left. They were just away for a moment. Fantastic. Incredible. Let's keep her going. Katara, do you have anything?
I don't think... I mean, there are things Katara wants to do after celebrations and stuff. I think in this moment...
We're not there yet.
Yeah, she's really just constantly in her brain, I... highlight, I took down Kronos. She's pretty happy. She's enjoying the power and, doing the weird dance, hanging out with her mom.
Yeah,
and
It's definitely... Go ahead.
Also, I think she's, if people are asking her about it, she is enjoying keeping stuff to herself. She's enjoying the power of, having the secrets and stuff like that. So I think she's just having a good time.
I think there's definitely a clique that has formed out here where there's Hecate, Katara, and Hades, and frankly, basically there's a goth. I think Kyros as well. He's basically become this black winged death pact angel. He's not emotionally a part of this group, but aesthetically, and he's I know this isn't my crowd, but I'll be here. Incredible.
At some point, Katara is hoping to use this time to take a bit of a short rest, and regain some spell slots, and will at some point do an awkward turn dance, and basically tap Ouroboros on his back, and she will use illusory script to write "kick me" on his back, and she will dance away. And that's it.
He turns around. He's like, "What the fuck was that? I almost spilled my ambrosia."
And she'll watch chaos ensue because I'm assuming at some point a fight's gonna break out.
At some point, well,
I looked at
Sil-
Hercules. I'm like, "Did you see that shit?"
Yeah, watch your
She
back.
literally wrote "kick me" on your back.
I will.
She just opened.
I will watch my back. Thank you.
All right.
Fuck. He just looks around like quick as shit.
Because I know he wants it. Silenos, spot it. See the mark.
Target spotted.
Oh, yeah, I would love to. Actually, I was also just gonna say, I'll introduce Nixia to this whole goth bunch.
Oh yeah, she's totally up in there. I forgot about that.
Let them probe her. Let Hecate probe her, and yeah.
Light is just such a drag.
Okay, wait.
Been alive for fucking
Nixia.
10 minutes.
Yeah, Nixia. I think
Yes.
there's some that maybe more your speed can help catch you up in a way that might be easier for you to understand.
Okay.
Katara,
Yes.
my final gift to you.
Eric, what the fuck is that?
And he introduces. I think you guys can learn a lot from each other, actually.
You see Nixian kind of approaches, and there's a pretty immediate like kinship for whatever reason. Like these are creatures of great darkness, and she kind of plays both sides of the field. She's like either the like really like light and preppy like Apollo-y kind of people, and then the super dark twisty people. So she comes over and she like she's got a little bit of a Persephone vibe, I think, in the sense that like she maybe like there's a part of her that like looks bright and flowery, but there's another part of her that's like eyeliner and fucking black. So yeah, she heads over there. Yeah, Persephone's there too. Like, and,
I think.
And then right. Oh, go ahead, Katara.
I was gonna say, I think as well, if I suspect Katara would probably pick up on the kind of the knowing aspect, and I think like with her oh god, words are escaping me. Oracle, like that sort of side and like the dark. I think she kind of sees like a strong similarity to her. And so she's come on over.
Yeah, I think Kyros takes the opportunity to like slip away from the group.
Yeah.
The
And
only
then I'm
thing
like,
dark about him is his wings, so he leaves.
oh, Kyros, look! And I point to Ouroboros, and I do like a hill giant strike to tabletop him with Kyros.
Yeah. The two of them just like fucking like All Might and just like together. Yeah, All Might and
I'm like,
Deku
I
together.
don't know, man. There was the sign from the gods on your back. I don't know. Like, you saw that. Kyros? No?
I saw it, and I think Kyros, Hercules, and Sanos just start boom, boom, boom. Just,
Start jumping the shit out of me.
Three of them just jump.
Fight back.
Fight back! Why aren't you fighting back?
Yeah, that's all. He just wanted to introduce her to Katara.
I'm like holding the fucking ambrosia up while I'm.
I just realized this stays for 10 days.
Son of a bitch.
The kick
It's
me
more of a
stein
curse
stays me
than
for
a spell.
10 days.
That was
Yeah.
Katara's final gift to Silenos.
Wow. Who dares kick Ouroboros?
He is the god of pain.
I'm about to say roll initiative, bitches.
There's definitely like it is the gods, right? So there definitely breaks out.
Yeah, it's
A huge combat brawl breaks out for sure.
I mean, I think at that, like, once the brawl breaks out, she's gonna, like, Katara will throw a wink to Dionysus, because that was his thing of, like, he had approached her originally about wanting to see her cause some chaos. So I think she'll,
Yeah.
and then again, she'll just sit back and like watch the show.
And so you do. Yeah, you just watch the chaos of Ouroboros fending off these like 3 friends, quote unquote, of his.
I just get like tossed across the room.
Like
Come on,
as you're
Tal'Dorei, you
flying,
gonna let him do that to you?
you like adjust course correct midair, like hoofs on the fucking wall, and just use it to fucking propel yourself back at me.
Too powerful.
It's the god fight montage. It's the god fight montage. It's everything you want. Yes.
Hell yeah. Love it. Fucking love it. Hilarious.
Is the gods do John Wick?
If I break somebody's bones and they're a god, does it just like regenerate, and they're fine?
Basically, yeah.
It just breaks and it hurts.
I don't
but
think
you're
I
fine.
think you can't really break each other's bones. You're like god anatomy works differently than human anatomy. You don't actually have bones.
We made of energy.
You're made of pure celestial energy. Yeah.
I use absorb or protect. I don't know. Absorb energy and just kill gods. No, but yeah, he's just brawling to his heart's content. Yeah.
Beauty.
And trying his best not to spill his
to
ambrosia.
see the Ouroboros doggy pile where he just and throws them all off.
Oh, like the Agent Smith dog pile on Neo, like fucking.
Hell yeah.
The
Absolutely.
pain and the fellowship are stronger than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
The pain of fellowship.
Yep. You feel
gotta
the
be-
pain.
The punches
of all
are
the
being
punches.
thrown, but it's all right.
You feel the pain, but since it's accompanied by that fellowship, it's a warmth, a feeling of happiness on top of pain.
At least just standing outside out of all this ruckus and cheering you guys on, like, come on, don't let him kick your ass like that.
I throw a god directly at Alicia as hard as I can.
Team sports are built, guys.
You just like pick up Hercules and he's like,
Sorry,
you're like,
buddy.
you're like, he sees what you're trying to like. He's like, oh, like he's resisting. He's like, oh no, that's fun. And then he like lets you just. He's like, oh no, elbows, and like lands into Alicia.
Oh shit! I'm pile driving.
Well, can I try dodge?
Make a. Ouroboros, make me you've got Mighty Impel. Do a Mighty Impel and see if
Okay.
you can hit Alicia with it.
Hmm.
I'll give you advantage because Hercules is like, oh, I'm not helping. He'll-
Mighty Impel.
Okay, we're all fighting him. He's definitely raging.
yeah. Yeah.
Mighty
He's
Impel
humongous.
is, as a matter of fact, a saving throw from either the willing creature or the unwilling creature.
So, well, he's willing. So
If he's willing, then I don't have to do anything. I just lob him at him.
I'll just say make an athletics check versus Hercules' athletics check.
Good.
That'll
Okay,
go
mine.
well.
Mine.
Yeah, your athletics or acrobatics versus, we'll say, Hercules's.
Oh,
0?
dude.
At least you just like.
Look at
you're
what
like,
I rolled for athletics.
What'd you roll?
Let you roll.
A fucking nat 20.
So,
For a
ze-
total of 39.
And that's not even counting the pain points, so that's really like
points. 45.
I think I have like 15 or 16 pain points. So, that's like
so
50,
what happened?
dude.
So Alicia's standing like way on the other side of the room. She just kind of like haphazardly is like, haha, like yeah, go for it. And Ouroboros, you take Hercules and like go for like a full 2 spins and like throw him and like Hercules like ragdoll like goes flying through the air. And he like and Alicia, you don't even move. You're just there's a
There,
fight
1
or
second.
flight or it's like a fight or flight freeze, and you just freeze because you're just like, I'm gonna die. And we zoom out of Mount Olympus, and there's just like bullet drill fucking through the side of the mountain, and Alicia and Hercules go flying off the side of Mount Olympus and
Sonic
hit the
boom.
ground down in Greece. The crater fucking goes off,
Oh no!
and Hercules stands up and goes, ugh, ugh, and Alicia's just.
I pull myself
Pompeii
off
was
the floor.
destroyed.
I turn myself into Pompeii was destroyed. That's later. I turn myself into like a into a chimera and fly back up there and jump into it.
I think for a nat 20 from the god of pain and getting hit by the god of might with a 0 athletics, I don't think you're doing much of anything for a little bit.
You want me to use my luck?
Nah, it's too late. Results
Possibly,
You're
I think
knocked out for a little bit,
Immortal
and then you
Rise
come
might
back.
be a better course of
Yeah.
action. Immortal Rise.
Yeah, we'll say that like fully takes you to 0, and then reaction immortal rise, and you get up like alive because you're a god, and that's the only reason you're able to get up.
Yeah. I like
You
to
just-
picture. Real quick. I would like to picture Zeus like kind of walking over, and kind of looking, standing next to me, looking through the hole that I made, and he's like, "We need to discuss." Discus.
Wait a second, we got something here.
I'll be back.
throw him at
I'll be
people.
back.
Okay, almost. Do it again. And I go in like a plank. This is how we created discus.
My God. I was gonna say like football or something. It's like I don't know. It's like,
I was
the
thinking
gods are
rugby,
not
but,
balls
you know.
to be kicked around. Wait.
Football.
But what if? Hang on.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'm gonna go create a new domain. Incredible. Holy shit, hilarious. Okay, fantastic. All right, what else we got going on? I think that of the clicks, there's probably another situation going on, for sure. Thalia, we haven't heard from you, and there is quite a few people that would be in your clique over there. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is there anything that you want to get up to in particular?
No, not specifically. I would just be hanging out with Leonis and children after that.
Okay, sure. Let me know if there's anything that you want to do. But yeah, you guys just kind of hang around and have a good time and drink and make merry, and you sort of introduce your children to maybe the Graces and all the others. Yeah, generally just have a good time. Yes, Anos.
Could I come back at this point from meeting with Artemis timeline or like summon? Yeah. I would like to walk up to Thalia and Leonis and her children with those 3 jaguars.
Ooh, okay, beautiful. And so you do. They're all in that little clique over there, and you catch up.
Lady of Grace, may I join?
You're always welcome here, Silence.
Thank you. And hello to you 3. I'd like you guys to meet these creatures, but I think you can just call them friends, or at least you'll learn them to be that.
To her new children, the gods of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. These like 3 like celestial starlight jaguars sort of prowl forth with sort of like the haunched shoulders, the almost liquid metal-esque muscles underneath the very interesting pelts that they have, sort of approach the 3 goddesses.
Yeah, as they are, Sionos will come over to Thalia, kind of like check on her, make sure she's okay, because she did get hurt a lot and stuff. So, as they're kind of the jaguars are walking over, he like checks on her, Children, I am Silenos. You guys will know me for ever. That is my intention. I will always be with you. As will. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. You go. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, as will all of the Olympians, your aunts and uncles, your mother, all of us. But these three, they're special. They're tied to the stars, and they're tied to divine service. You are the definition of divine. These beings will be with you till the end.
And they sort of prowl over to their respective new masters. And Ivania, the goddess of the future, says, "Yes, we will. We'll know each other forever." And she seems like there's like a wisdom to her eyes, like an infinite wisdom to her eyes. And there's like they're very strange entities where Nia, the goddess of the past, seems like more youthful than the rest, or almost a little immature compared to the rest, and Ivania, the goddess of the future, seems like more just alive and like wise and worldly despite her age. But Era says, "Thank you. These are beautiful beasts. And there is something interesting about the stars. Something I haven't figured out quite yet. But these are fine gifts. Thank you."
Sorry, something that I haven't, or that you haven't?
But we haven't. There's And Nia, the goddess of the past, will say, "Yeah, they are what we see as something that has been, but not quite is." And Era will say, "We'll figure it out," and kind of like pats her shoulder a little bit, and Nia's sort of momentary disturbance at the thought of it kind of like smiles and nods.
Yeah. At that, I actually can tell you a bit about the stars. They are images of the past, but they're also momentary reflections into the beauty that once was. And we get to still see that, even though it's gone. As some flavor, I think for the younger child, I think the jaguar would be a lot more playful and kind of energetic and like protective over it. For the kind of older, wiser one, it would be more kind of authoritative, standing at like a guard. And then for the present, just kind of relaxed, like I'd said, kind of mirroring their personalities, even though they hadn't met yet. And then, yeah, it's not dangerous, I don't think. I think what you guys need to focus on is all that's here and now. And for now, it's these guys. And to you, and he'll just turn to Thalia. This is just a gift to say thank you for everything you've sacrificed for us, time and time again. You've had love ripped from you time and time over, just for a chance for us to make it here. So, your children will have protection eternally.
You could have offered no greater gift than the protection of everyone. I'm most grateful, and you should know now I'm surrounded by an abundance of love. So it all worked out. Thank you for these gifts. They're beautiful.
Of course, the thanks are all mine. But let's celebrate. We have eternity to do so. No one I'd rather do it with. And he just kind of summons her a drink.
Yeah.
Perfect. She'll give Sanos a big hug and
Yeah.
a light kiss on the cheek and
Yeah.
celebrate and drink.
That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to give her kids some of his protection.
That's so cool.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah, and just some fun things about our new goddesses. As you're like getting to know them, they're very strange entities. Well, two of the three of them are. Era, the goddess of the present, who you've known the longest, is just she's similar to any other goddess or god that you've met. They're just like kind of present here and talking and really only thinking about what's being said and going on in the moment. Nia, the goddess of the past, she's interesting. Whenever you look at her, she always appears to be younger than you. Like but of varying ages, whether it be from, depending on how old you are. So, Ouroboros, you've aged quite a bit in this conflict. I believe you're like 40 something. So sometimes she seems like a somewhere middle-aged 30-year-old woman. Other times she appears to be like a young, like 19-year-old girl, but never older than you, never appearing older than you. But she's very predictable, and the things she say are almost like memories, like as if she's quoting someone from your past or saying something that you've heard in the past before, and you kind of like, some of them you're like, it happens enough times that you think that everything she says is something that you've heard before. But you only remember about half of them because that's just how the past works. You forget things. Whereas Ivania, the goddess of the future, I think I've got them backwards because Katara, you said Nia was your name and you wanted to give it to the goddess who would have a future, if I'm not mistaken. A future you didn't have, right? You did.
It's a good question. I think I said give her a different future.
Got it. And Ivania was the past, so yeah, just wanted to make sure.
All good. I'm just like, my brain was like, what the fuck did I say?
Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm getting this right. So, and then Nia, the goddess of the future, always appears to be older than you, and that can be anything from just like a couple years older than you to like, frankly, like a wrinkling old lady at times. It kind of, you tell that it kind of changes per person, like perspective, and like maybe like to a mortal she appears like an old crone, but to all of you she just appears like in the Zeus kind of way, like this beautiful mature woman. Not that Zeus is a woman, but the sort of beautiful mature figure. And she is entirely unpredictable. She'll just kind of like hop into something you're saying, or I don't know, she's very unpredictable. She's very hard to like track in a conversation. She might swap topics on you all of a sudden. Very mysterious. Won't like, she almost never answers a question directly. So it's very hard to like get anything out of her. And that, it almost seems like she's just kind of off in space and she's just like not focused. But you get the sense that there's sort of a foretelling about her that she just is very mysterious about. It's very difficult to reveal from. There's no prophecy about it. She just doesn't ever answer. And those are sort of the personalities of the goddesses that have come to be. Fantastic. Is there other stuff that you guys would like to do in the days of these revels? We don't need to worry about the chronology of things anymore because that's all been set quite right by these goddesses.
Alicia will crawl back up to Olympus and go to bed. That's one.
Fair enough. Let me see, because there's plenty of gods who have stuff to say to all of you. Thalia, you have more than a few people who want to talk to you, if you're open to that.
Yeah, of course.
At a certain point, you'll sort of, throughout these couple of days, there might be a time where you're available or not surrounded by people, a moment when you're not sort of held up by other folks. And you will have a moment with Hera. She kind of like sees you across the partying hall and will kind of nod at you in respect here and there, but eventually she manages to, like, you kind of bump into each other and have a word. And she'll say, things seem to have worked out quite well for you, Valley.
You do the grace of your own domains and through your protection. Yes. You build these everything, right?
Sorry, I can't quite hear you.
I said through the grace of your own domains and your protection, yes, things have worked out quite well for me.
She'll grow soft and say, there are things about our domains, things that work quite well together, but there are others that are in conflict and will be. I wanted you to know that of all of the women that my husband has betrayed me with, you have my respect most of all. And I hope you can remember that when we quarrel in the future. For there is much about who and what I am that will not mix with what you are.
I'm honored to have garnered your respect, and perhaps we might not quarrel as much in the future as we've come to this understanding of one another. I, too, hold a great deal of respect for your domains and the protection you offer women.
I hope perhaps one day that might be true. You have, and all of your allies, honored me greatly with the naming of your firstborn. Perhaps my husband has always sat well better within the domain that you now possess. But it is one that I will still defend for what it is and what it was made to be at first. I hope you know and could relay to the rest of your group that Olympus owes them more than it will ever be able to repay. But I personally will owe them more than I'll be able to repay as well.
Of course, I'll tell my friends. Though I don't believe you owe us much of anything, or Olympus. Greece is our home as much as it is yours, and these people matter to me. The people of Athens and Greece, and it was as much as our responsibility as anyone's to protect Greece and Olympia.
I agree. Well, at the very least, you are an admirable woman, and the children you will have, of course, have my blessing. I will watch you all well, and hope that one day there can be tranquility between us.
Likewise.
And she'll... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Thalia just says likewise, and thank you for watching over my children. I'm most honored and appreciative.
She will nod her head and sort of leave you rather stoically with that. She is a very hard woman, and has had to be, or has been made to be anyway. Excellent. So there's one for you. Oh, Ares gets in on the beating you up, Ouroboros, because, I mean, you know. All in good fun. All in good fun. What else? What?
Is that a spear in my fucking leg, Ares? No,
No.
it must have slipped.
No, it was just.
Must have been the.
Oh my God. When I get nervous, I beat people up. Okay, what else we got? We got gods who want to speak. Ouroboros. Once you're done beating up and getting beaten up.
Right.
Right. Zeus approaches.
Scatter! And
Scatter!
the group just fucking disperses.
He says, well, son, you've done well in this war.
Thank you, Father.
Remember how you wanted to curse 7 generations of family members with pain over evil deeds and such?
Yes.
I denied you because I wanted to see what you would do. If you want to enact that, it is your domain as the god of pain. By all means.
Father, while I did propose those changes, I feel that your judgment to not let me do that at the time was beneficial to me, as I believe that with the time I have now, I'm about your age if you were immortal.
Not quite.
A little older.
No, you are younger than I, still, son. My battle with Kronos in the first Titanomachy, well, let's just say my hair isn't white because I'm the god of the sky.
Really?
I was a much younger god, like Apollo, or perhaps even Artemis's age during those times. But after 1,000 years battling the god of time, well, there's a reason me and Poseidon and Hades are the most elder of the gods. At least in appearance.
So were you like a brunette, a blonde, or?
Oh no, I was brunette. No.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, I always had white hair. But not quite so much.
What I mean to say is, not only by the age that was given to me, but by the age brought upon by experience in being an immortal. I believe there is a more just way, a more purposeful way to use my power.
Let's see. I'll be interested to see what you do with it then, so. Now, there is another matter. Your brother Hercules. In such times when he was at the height of his greatness and given godhood up here on Mount Olympus, he was honored greatly. And I would infer you the same honors as well. You have been made a god, yes. You have 2 domains, much like him, yes. But I would impose, if you wish, a gift that has been reserved only for those most worthy. And so far it has only been Hercules. I have but one other true-born daughter, by Hera, my wife. She is the goddess of childbirth. I do not believe that either of you have met, but I would be pleased if you spent time together, for I would offer her hand to you in marriage.
To me?
Yes. Elinthia, the goddess of childhood, she is fair like her mother, and wise like her father. And as I've said, she's the only other daughter that me and Hera have had together. I would give her to you.
I will protect her with every fiber of my being. And I will accept your offer.
Very well. Then be honored. She will be a good wife to you, sir. And here in these couple of days, like, you'll be introduced to her, and true to his word, she is fair as Hera is. She's not quite as hard and cold and sort of ruthless as Hera is. She's much more caring, as like a great bedside manners, very a caregiver, very tentative in that manner. But like long, sort of lightly curled brown auburn hair, and like an excellent bedside manner, and is just like, and she's beautiful. And very kind. So, yeah. He offers her hand to you if it is just something that you would choose.
I think it is.
And there will be festivities in the epilogue of Ouroboros and his new wife, Elithia. Just got engaged.
Oh, shit.
Just imagining, I'm not remembering the term, but like whenever she has a child, like Ouroboros just mirroring everything. It's like the worst part of it. It's like she's got as a childbirth and he's just like pain. It's like
I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
all makes. I mean, it kind of makes sense in the end. The god of pain. To be
I
married to the
did
god of
change my
childbirth.
name. I did change my name to Ouroboros of childbirth at one point. So
I mean, god of purpose and childbirth marries, or purpose, a god of pain and purpose marries the goddess of childbirth. There's something very
yeah, I
interesting
think
about
so.
that. Yeah.
phantom syndromes for sure.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Who else do we have?
And now I wish to die fighting my mother and leaving my child without a father and my wife without a husband. Goodbye.
Katara, you will certainly share words with, the Goths.
Yep.
Persephone, Hecate, and Hades will speak to you. Hades, of course, first. And he says, well, Katara, we've never had a god who is going to be the god of death itself. You'll spend a great deal of time with Hermes and understanding the essence of Thanatos. Are you prepared for these responsibilities?
Yes. The fates foretold that I would not spend my eternity beyond the underworld. This all makes sense.
They are cryptic. They do, in the end, it seems, make sense. And Hecate will say to you, Katara, she says, and my, how perfect what you will be able to learn from the dead when you take them unto us in the underworld.
Yes, I imagined as goddess of secrets, it actually is only logical. Some secrets remain with the dead, and should.
I suspect he'll not get on well with Athena very well after this. He'll take all that she forgets.
Yes. It'll be interesting.
Persephone says, well, I think it's going to be wonderful to have you in the underworld. I'm very excited.
I am too.
There's much that me and you will have, I think, in common too. When I leave, my mother kind of has her yearly fit, and nature falls away, and I guess we'll kind of be opposites, won't we? Because I'm spring and you're, well, And they all kind of think about that. And Persephone says, perhaps then, Qatar, maybe you should petition Orbor or Zeus for the domain of fall, which is a time of ending of life.
And she's just like going over like the dead, like leaves die. She's like, I think it makes sense.
Fantastic. Oh man, what else we got around the room that people? I think Poseidon will approach you at some point, Gyasi. And he will say, how boring, how tedious the seas will be without its finest captain.
Oh, I think we're gonna come up with a little bit of a game that may provide its own entertainment. Perhaps not as instantaneously exciting, but it has its potential.
I have tried to drown you many times, Gyasi, and you've denied me each. I'm very impressed by your durability.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll send some of these watchers upon my domain. I will always recall your surf of the mighty wave that hit my counterpart so precisely. It was glorious.
It was divinely inspired. And thank you for that.
He's like, Poseidon is like a little depressed because it's like you were kind of his. He liked you a lot. You're a lot of fun to attempt to drown over and over. But now you won't be on the sea as much. He'll say, well, my respect remains, and should you decide that you would have a place in the court of the seas, some domain that relates, I would be interesting to have you there in Atlantis.
I will have to investigate pirates and those who seek them out. There may be a space there.
Yes, I think there should be. And he looks very excited by that prospect. He loves the idea of a god patron of pirates. That's very cool. Well, I think it's time for the big one, Thalia.
Yeah.
Leonis has been stuck to your side the entire time, looking at you all sort of googly-eyed and whatnot. And he says, so, what do you think you're going to do now? I've heard a rumor that there's supposed to be more Children of Time.
I have been considering motherhood, true motherhood. It is, it could be something fulfilling.
Well, and what of me and you? What would you have of us?
I'd have eternity with you, Leonis.
And that is what you'll have, my goddess of grace. And yeah, very, very passionate kissing. He'll say, I admit I'm not sure what to do about my friends. I'm not sure what to... I would kind of want to try and convince them to stay here, but they have loved ones and family at the other time.
As do you. Perhaps we can maybe it's too much to ask, but perhaps we can make a life in both timelines. I do happen to know the goddesses of time quite well.
Maybe. That's within their power. But he says, but Thalia, I love my friends, and I have many that I love from where I come from. But it is all nothing without you. I'd surrender my entire world. I'd surrender all the love that I've ever shared with that world to be here with you.
How could I ask you to do such a thing? To give up your life to come here?
Thalia, I do not ask you anything. I surrender it willingly. I give you all that I ever was to be here with you. If you would grant me that gift.
I honestly want nothing more than my life with you. She'll put both hands on his cheeks and look deep into his blue eyes and just try to convey that as much as possible through her touch and gaze and words.
And he smiles at you without reservation, without doubt as to here or there. And he will stay. Fantastic. Is there anything else? Any other conversations that anyone would like to have with the gods, with NPCs of any kind? Whether they are gods or not.
Just as I'm crawling back up to Olympus, just as I get back up there,
right?
If I run into any of the other druids, would I?
I will say that, yeah, the Archdruids have been given a rare invitation to celebrate alongside the gods. So yes.
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh wow, all of them. Shit.
This is a monumental event, and this new alliance deserves respect. And so, any Archdruids that Zeus basically says summon your inner circle, all who would wish to attend may attend. So you may decide, Alicia, which Archdruids you would wish to be here.
I would say I'll make it an open door. Any who wish to attend may attend.
Then we will say that the Archdruids of the circles will attend in representation of their people.
Even Zathir?
Even Zathir. Who sort of looks a little shitty about the whole thing, but he isn't a party foul or anything like that.
The moment I see him, I say, Zathir, come on, relax, enjoy some of the wine. As I'm crawling back up, shaking the damage off.
This place makes me feel weird. It's one controlled by these gods. It's so strange. It makes me want to, I don't know why, but it makes me want to wiggle my body when I hear the music. It's so, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that might. Yeah, the pipes might be. Yeah, the one on the pipes with all the fur. You see that god right there, and whose music you're hearing?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
That's my father.
Ugh.
You can thank him. You can thank him for me too.
He's the one who burdened you with us.
And not exactly. I don't know. You think he even knew I was alive?
Kind of said. He kind of looks you over and kind of says, and just kind of slithers away. And we'll go talk to someone else. But you get a lot of, as I've described before, you Archdruids speak a lot without words because you're all so deeply insightful. And what you'd garner is like, though he has not put it to words, there is a, there is an overt like, oh, you betrayed the druids, you've become a god, you turned your back, blah blah blah. But there is a respect for your sacrifice, for your decision, even from Sathir.
Even Sathir. I think they can understand that. Sometimes you have to do certain things for others, even though you never wanted to do them in the first place.
Yeah, and you would gather that from the druids, and you kind of await their judgment. And to be clear, the gods, the Olympians, there's it's somewhat similar. The gods are such ancient beings; they're deeply insightful, and some things are translated without words. As you sort of approach the other druids, the eyes of the gods are intensely upon it, almost confrontational, in a defensive way of you. As if, better not talk shit about your decision to be an Olympian. But no one does. And there's this sort of respectful mourning amongst the druids for having lost the Archdruid of the Circle of the Moon in such a selfless sacrifice. So there is this deep, mournful respect for what you've done.
And I appreciate all of that, especially from Valerie, Ian, Warren, and Maeve. And I explained where the domains I'm in charge of now, of the beasts, make sense. No surprise there. Of forgiveness, I think the world always needs more of that. And evolution. Because despite something being away for a certain way for 1,000 years, doesn't mean it can't change.
Ian Warren says, well, I think the gods will, I think your domains will help the gods come to appreciate we druids as well. You've almost inadvertently become our advocate in domain as well as personality. So you have our respect, Lucia. I think things are going to go well because of you.
Thank you. I had very good teachers. And I give them a big hug.
Yeah, and they all sort of kind of corral around you, and you are embraced by the circle. And they talk to you about if you have any sort of recommendations for who would be the new Archdruid of the Circle of the Moon. We didn't really get into many NPCs from there, but you could make a recommendation.
Yeah, I can make a recommendation. I can think of a few off the top of my head. I tell them, but ultimately, I think it would be best if the Circle of the Moon decided for itself which ones, who should lead them.
And they will respect that decision.
Sometimes people rise to the occasion.
Indeed. Is there any last conversations anyone wants to have before we go to the true epilogue?
And I just mentioned to them, this isn't the last time. You're welcome to see me anytime you want. And this may not be the last time you've seen me in the lands of Gaia. Who knows?
And they relay maybe one day the treaty will indeed expand to allow more gods than just the Watcher god to enter their realm.
If I'll happily see that day. I have all the time in the world now. I'm mortal.
Go ahead, Guitar.
If she could, because I think assuming that the celebrations have continued for a time.
Yeah, we can be a little loose with time.
Yeah, I think Guitar is just trying to get a sense of if the dragons would be welcome. Because I think she's seen the druids here. The gods are aware of the dragons. And she's trying to get a sense of if they could, also be a part of this, because obviously they played a huge part. If not, then she would respect their wishes and sort of continue to keep the secret of their location and whatnot. But I think she's curious about trying to, get some communication between Zeus and the dragons going.
Yeah, I will say, you speak to Zeus, and he says, "It is impressive how many factions of creatures have kept from the eyes of the gods for so long. 2 is more than 1, and 1 is far too many. The dragons fought alongside us in the end. Our victory may not have come as smooth without it. I would proclaim, as it was in ancient times, that should they choose, the metallic dragons may indeed once more be the great guardians of the gods."
Thank you for your judgment. And she will gladly take that message, because she did spend a lot of time fostering a relationship with them. So she will be glad to tell them that is the case, but also if they wish to remain hidden, that she will, again, continue to keep their location safe.
Understood. And we will resolve that in the epilogue, absolutely. But you begin to facilitate this potential alliance. Fantastic. Anybody else? Any last combos? Okay.
I was just going to say
go ahead. No, go ahead.
something small.
Yeah.
I think I would like to talk to Zeus quickly.
Absolutely.
Great King. I think in the name of all things holy and Grecian, I would like to take up a new domain to kind of help some soldiers, and I think it's just something that I've always had good strength with. I would like to be the god of accuracy.
Accuracy. Accuracy implied in bowmanship, I assume.
In precision. If you don't get it done the first time, make sure you do it the second. Merely, perhaps that precision.
He thinks on it, and about the cosmic relativity of that.
I can even continue actually, because I searched this up a little bit. I think I've heard there used to be someone who guarded that. I was told by my mother her name was Virgo. I feel as though I already have a connection with the stars, and I think I would like to bring back some of her legacy.
There were many gods of archery. But indeed, perhaps it is time to bring back that old domain. Define to me your precision. You mean in weapons work?
In weapons work, within the first interaction, in under a second, I may attack my opponent 5 times in the flash of an eye. Maybe the first 3 won't hit, but I'll teleport behind them and close the distance to ensure the final 2 do. Precision in battle and making attacks count. Finding weaknesses, maybe more precisely.
He says, then I shall give you 3 choices for this domain that you seek. 1, I would name you a minor god of the hunt, and you may serve alongside your mother in her retinue. The next would be the god of technique. Ensure that weapon skill, technique, is efficient and precise, like you say. And the last, I would name you the Skulker God, one who uses the shadow to make the first blow count, and that would be your teachings, your laws. Do one of these 3 appeal to you?
I think I'd like to leave my legacy through the shadow, Great King, with your permission.
Then I shall name you Silenos, God of Fellowship, for duty, and the Skulker God.
Thank you.
And in that moment, Silenos, you'll just gain sneak attack as a feature.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's all. I just thought that was cool. I thought, I always hit. I use my flurry. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would sort of expand into less sneak attack, honestly, and more like what you already do, which is basically skill at ambush using shadow, guerrilla warfare, and that would be kind of
I like that. I was just thinking about that. That's all.
Cool. Okay, let us go to the epilogue. I'm going to give, just so that we're not running all night, I'm going to give everybody 10 minutes to 10 minutes or less to complete their epilogue of their character. And I will be timing. I'm not going to be too much of a hard ass at this, but I will try and make her happen within 10 minutes. So, who would like to go first? All right, Alicia. 10 minutes begins now. Go for it.
Okay, yeah. First of all, then the very next day I start with Pans to help train on my being a god and being my godly duties for forgiveness, for evolution, and the beasts of the world, and understanding them more. Next, another thing I'm going to do is, in a few months' time, I'm going to check back in on that form I found Pan at a few sessions ago, and see how the family's doing.
The farmer's daughter is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And but otherwise is doing pretty good. The dad's kind of in an uproar about which of the village boys did it, but she isn't saying. She is. She's like, it was the god Pan. He's like, whatever. Don't you lie to me. Okay. And they're in a bit of a household turmoil over it, but. Yep, she's very pregnant.
Okay, awesome. One thing I'm going to do is in the middle of the night, I'm going to cast plant growth on that farm, so that a full year from that for a full year it'll grow twice as much as it can. And when the father is alone hunting in the woods, maybe alone one night, I'm going to make this almost divine revelation before him.
Okay.
Ordering him. telling him, "Your daughter bears a child of the great Lord Pan of the forest." Yeah, basically, and long story short, to take care of it, to treat it well. That there's gonna be a little different for a little while, and 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 occasionally the god another goddess will be watching and checking in on it, and then one day she will come and speak with this young child, explaining why she is the way she is. And if anything happens to her, and the beast will not harm or bother you at all, your farm animals will be wonderful, nice, and give you plenty of stuff. But if anything happens to that kid, the beast of the forest will descend upon you and rip you to shreds.
Got it. You appear before this farmer as he's out, working the fields, scare him half to death, and tell him that the gods are watching for this child blessed with the blood of Pan. And the next day, his crops start growing twice. Like over the next couple months, he notices his crops have grown like twice as fast and hardy, and definitely believes like that she is blessed by Pan and whatnot, and she'll give birth to a boy. And thanks to the eyes and protection of the gods, he is born into sort of fame, and kind of becomes like a bit of a he grows his own legend.
Excellent. And I do over time introduce myself to my younger little brother. Appearing here and there. There's this nice lady giving apples to him and everything, giving him advice, listening to him a little bit.
Immortal guys, like, are you hiding yourself?
And it just is a strange, beautiful but powerful lady. Something seems off about it, but he can't quite put it on. And
Gotcha.
Before eventually explaining myself and even keeping an eye on him, maybe inviting him to Olympus once or twice, maybe.
Yeah, he eventually does, and he often throughout his childhood is like finds himself called to the woods, the natural world. He doesn't like civilization too much, and he's called to the woods, and he meets his father and grows his legend, becomes known as a great hunter.
Yeah, make sure he eventually meets his dad and everything. Does he have canines and hair and an extra hair like I do?
Yeah, he's a bit of a hairy guy.
Absolutely. Okay, and I keep out for any other siblings I may or may not have and take care of them too.
You look out for the children of Pan, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, because someone's got to. I'm actually absolutely going to be best friends with Hebe and with Hebe. I go on double dates with her and Hercules when I get a chance to go see the Bachelorette's play down in Athens. I absolutely keep a promise to that. I'd be a best friends with her because I asked her for that big favor from Hera once. I going to teach Thalia's children how to help meditate and be one with the world, and try to really listen to the world a little bit.
Absolutely. You make this offer, and they definitely like try and go with it with you. But similarly, there's something very strange about these children. How they're not as conscious or as like able to learn as like maybe you are.
Okay.
Whereas like the rest of the gods like sort of fight and whatever, they're kind of like not as conscious as the rest of you. They're embodiments of their domain rather than like true gods. So they're kind of they don't have hobbies. They just kind of are. They're like the fates a little bit.
And I be the best chance I can to them.
Absolutely.
Another thing, I'm buddy with Hephaestus, and seeing the future, I understand that his domain might become the most powerful and the most expansive, and I kind of want to make a bridge between civilization and technology and nature.
Very cool.
And one thing I suggest we do as a project, as me and maybe the other gods too, is actually fixing the world pillar.
He thinks about it. Zeus, do you propose it to Zeus?
In the way I explain to Zeus and even to Festus is that mainly to Festus, but also might explain to Zeus as that showing the powers of technology and nature can help one another and coexist. And it's something the god should probably fix, and not just like keep Atlas in this world as a chance to escape one day, maybe, or something like that. Just a long-term problem maybe we should fix.
Zeus seems content to allow Atlas to serve his penance by carrying the world on his back, and would explain to you that the world pillar isn't a physical pillar. It's sort of metaphysical. It's like
Okay.
it's a cosmic concept, essentially. And because you're a god, it will manifest before you, but he's content to let Atlas struggle in this way.
Okay, then.
And assures you that all will be well in that regard.
Okay, cool. But I still make sure me and Hephaestus are best pals to show the bond between technology and nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to make sure I've kind of run in between Dionysus, the druids and the gods, and try to make sure everything's cool between them, Gaia, and everything. Hopefully that turns out well. Another thing I'm going to do is, and try to, in my own time, on my own schedule, fall in love, maybe have my own kid a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, like many of the gods, maybe you happen upon a beautiful young man and bless him with a divine child one day.
Yeah, I definitely. He would have to be bright, a little dumb, but very brave.
There's no shortage of dumb and brave individuals in ancient Greece. There's plenty of those people on Tinder for you.
Okay, just let me check. I got everything. Okay, just one last thing. I'm also going to become very good friends with Dionysus, and we talk about the concept of forgiveness a lot, and how
Sure.
Just hear me out. And in time, when he pulls his little prank in the Levant, forgiveness would be a major theme of what he talks about.
Oh, I gotcha. I'm with you.
See what I mean?
Yeah, you heard about this thing in the future, and it kind of like made you think, yeah, and you kind of like, in a weird sort of inception-y kind of way, you like put the idea of like Christianity in Dionysus's head, and he thinks it's hilarious.
And the lovey-dovey stuff about it.
Yeah, yeah, and he will go on to become the prophet of a new religion that, well, we'll deal with all of that one day, maybe.
It feels like anything. Wow, that got out of hand.
That got out of hand fast.
But yeah,
hey, maybe that's the sequel campaign.
Yeah, maybe, who knows?
Fighting off Dionysus.
Who knows? But But yeah, I have a lover, maybe one or two kids, but I do think that who knows what happens in time, but I think Alicia will be relatively successful in healing the divide between the gods and the druids and nature, and
work hard in that regard.
And
okay, that is your time, Alicia.
And I think that's it. Okay.
Excellently done. And to play off of what does end up coming, and to like tell you a little bit about that, it takes a very long time. It takes maybe a century for we're gonna wait on Biasi for the result of the druids, because Biasi has a heavy hand to play in their fortunes. But I will play out one thing that does happen, because I do want to tell you some stuff that happens in the background that you would all be aware of. Early on in these days after the end of the war, Hades is called upon to stand before Olympus and Zeus in judgment for his actions in the Titanomachy. He goes before Zeus and all of the gods that sit, and all of you are in the stands of the gods to watch judgment be rendered. And Hades comes forth and essentially says, I'm shamed by my actions. I always prioritized my domain overall, that my judgment of it be the thing held fast, that death and the land of the dead be a thing held separate from this land at all costs. And using my domain for a mode of revenge, it shames me. I swear unto you it will not happen again. I will hold my domain to the highest integrity. It will not be a thing to worry about. And Zeus says, your apology is not sufficient, for the Titans destroyed much, Hades, and it be blamed upon you. You shall be lucky to remain the king of the dead when all is said and done. And as that air stirs, as Zeus challenges Hades, this unsettlingly cold laughter comes out of Hades. He just kind of... And Zeus says, what are you cackling about? This is no matter that you should take lightly. And he says, no, I do not, mighty Zeus, and nor should you. You really intend to try and take my domain from me. You intend to stand render judgment before me for inaction based on temperament. This war was devastating, and it came about by my need for revenge. A wrath brought about half-cocked. Imagine if all the mortals who had ever died, all of your children, heroes, and all who had died because of the disregard of the gods and had hate for them. Imagine every giant and every titan, the Hecatonchon, rose. Do you think Olympus, Greece, could stand against every dead soul who has ever passed? Mighty Zeus, you will remain the god of the sky. Brother Poseidon will remain the god of the sea, and I will remain the god of the dead. I do not recommend starting war with death itself. Good day, brothers. And he does not ask permission to leave, but he leaves. And that just hangs in the air, as there is indeed not much to be done about it, for war with the underworld mean the destruction of at least Greece, if not Olympus. And in the end of that battle, even if they do pull it from the dead fingers of Hades, what would be left to rule? And so things go on as they ever could. Hades, who people begrudgingly admit, despite his, misdeeds in the last war,
His light treason.
His very heavy treason, is the most cool of temperament of the gods, and probably the most fair, integral ruler, as many of the other gods are highly temperamental, and many whisper how they wouldn't want Poseidon or Zeus ruling the underworld. That'd be a disaster. And an uneasy understanding that Hades holds a lot of firepower in his hands remains. And so Hades remains ever the god of the dead. Okay. Let's move along. Who wants to go next with their epilogue?
I have an idea.
All right, Ouroboros, your 10 minutes begins.
All right. Ouroboros, seeing that although his soon-to-be bride is perfect in every way for his domain, but also his temperament and what he's been seeking all his life, he knows that there is but one evil left in the world. And that world is his origin, his mother. And because Ouroboros feels a dedication to see that his line, should it continue on with his wife, he needs to make sure that all of the bad, darkened weeds that invade his family tree are snuffed out. And in that case,
Okay. I was gonna add to that because
okay, go ahead.
absolutely, you hunt for your mother, and with the aid of the ever-seeing eye of Apollo and whatever gods may be, maybe yes, Silence the Tracker, there comes a final confrontation that even Zeus allows to be yours alone. And you find in the far fringes of the world, far beyond lands of Greece and giant kind, you do find your mother back to her as incredibly powerful with what you have all bestowed her with, but back to sort of her shamanesque ways. She would say that she knew the day would come and would ask if you were prepared to end the line of storm giants forever, for she is indeed the last.
I have shown you love unabashedly. The only kind that a son can truly give to his mother. I have tried countless techniques and times to make you see that this fight for vengeance, this new era that you seek, need not be accomplished with killing Zeus. The dragons are back with Olympus. The druids back with Olympus. If ancient foes can come back into the same side, former mortal foes, now generational friends and family. Why can't you? Why spit in the face of not only your family, but moreover, your only living son? You have stabbed me in the heart in more ways than physical. And that olive branch that I bestowed to try to bring you to the light, to make you the queen of our people, I may not be a smart man, but I'm not dumb enough to give you another chance.
She says, so be it. I'd ask only one final thing. A thing that I think you will appreciate.
And what is that?
She sort of looks toward a back cavern. She says, take my life. Take from this world ancient spite and make your brother better.
Make my brother better.
She'll gesture. And as you look to the side cavern, you will see a crib, a giant-sized crib, where there is but one storm giant boy laying in it. He is yours. Shape him. Make him what giant kind needs.
I will.
You will exit the cave with the blood of your mother on your hands and the linen of your little brother in the crook of your arm.
I'll
And now
look
you,
down.
Ouroboros, are the father of giants.
I'll look down. I picture it like some cave, like, and it's snowing, and there's just a fucking wasteland of ice all around. And as I walk out of that cave, just covered in what was probably a pretty intense fucking battle, I look down at that child's face. With tears running down my face. Seeing this hope in the child's eyes and the hope that I had for my mother fading away. And I will trek back to Olympus with the child.
What happens to the child? With your last 2 minutes.
Yeah. I will.
Do you raise him? Do you give him his giant kind to raise? Do you isolate him to someone who will raise him well? What do you do?
I think once he got a little older, able to speak and able to think and to remember me, I like to think that at this years pass and my wife has her child and they would be great friends. And I would bring the giant, my brother, down to that small fishing village where my other brother lives. I don't know how old he is now.
They're all a couple years apart, but not so intensely that they couldn't grow up together.
Mm-hmm. And I would, just as my middle brother now is growing up there, I would leave that babe at the doorstep of that lovely couple.
And so the time paradoxical brother of Ouroboros, the last storm giant, and they will become like brothers themselves. That boy, the giant, will honor Zeus for his gifts. And you will, your brother, you would be told by the children of Thalia, the time goddesses, that if you had not been a god, it would have been to their purpose to expunge you from time. There could only be one. But now that you're a god, there is space in the mortal world for you. And they will grow up together. And they will honor not only Zeus, but your son or daughter. The name Ouroboros will sound through the eons. The great father of giants. They will come to know you as.
And I would like to fight Ares again, but you know.
And you fight many times in the arena. Many times, sometimes successful, sometimes not, but always a good fight.
Hell yeah.
Incredible. Who would like to go next? Katara, the goddess of death and secrets. What do you get up to?
So, I think first she's going to kind of try to foster that relationship with the dragons.
Okay.
And at that same time, she will sort of check in on her broken oracles. I think kind of one last time of like visiting them in person. I think she kind of kind of convey to them like what her future will be, that she's probably like she's got to go back, but she does want to kind of lead Cain to those dragons so that he can make some friends.
Absolutely.
And once that's done, she's going to, number one, she wants to fill her book with the rest of the frickin' rituals of the world. She wants to get them all. She
Easily done.
Fucking Pokemon, collect them all. And then she kind of goes to work. So she starts. She wants to work with Hades and Zeus. And she's going to have a temple built, or sort of a space built in the underworld and Olympus. And hopefully without necessarily their knowledge. She would like to, she's going to use forbiddens on both of those spaces to sort of set a restriction on what spots people can enter. And within those spaces, it kind of looks like that creepy forest from Themyscira. So if you enter into those temples, it's really, you don't know where you are. It's that sense of mystery. And way in the back, there is a very large library where she has her little imps every once in a while take a book from Athena and adds to the book of mysteries sort of thing. And eventually that sort of space becomes, I think, a passageway between Olympus and the underworld that maybe no one knows about.
I will say myth begins to spread amongst the mortals that on each of the great planes, on each of the great domains, the underworld, Olympus, the mortal realm, and the Laurentian depths, lies the repository of the goddess of secrets, all knowledge lost to man, all knowledge lost to even the gods. That maybe occasionally a demigod might find in a very important quest, guided to it by the gods themselves. And a feud, much like many of the historical feuds between various gods, a rather large feud will break out between Athena and Katara over knowledge that is known and knowledge that is unknown, how Katara steals from the world knowledge that exists. And maybe a little civil war breaks out, frankly, where maybe like Hephaestus gets in on Athena's side because the knowledge craft cannot excel, and you being and some gather to your side and a little bit, and Zeus has to step in and calm things down, and another myth is born about Katara, the goddess of death and secrets.
And then one of the other things that she will do, and I think she'll actually reach out to Silenos for this.
Okay.
But she would like to figure out, she would like to learn the names of her siblings and put them on the stones. And I think once that's done, because I believe there were 13, if I remember correctly.
Right.
At some point, because she still has Pan's urn, she's not giving that back. That and the staff, they're hers. She's, she 100% uses magic to like, what's the other spell that she's learning right now? She's actively learning one to keep this in her hands. Instant summons. She like both of those. Like if they ever leave her, she's just like, boop, they're back.
I'll say the staff stays with you no matter what. I think there's an occasion or two where the urn does vanish again. Some demigod needs it for some grand epic quest, and it always seems to just disappear right after it is needed.
Yep. But I think she will kind of experiment with the urn, and at some point, if she can manage it, she will sort of create a new being. She figured out how to do the kind of the worm. Like there was like, she would like to create some reapers. And she will purposefully try to create 13, and she will have deaths 13. And they will each have the name of one of her siblings.
Oh, fucking Nazgul, baby.
And they will help with the job, because I think at a certain point she realizes how much work it is to be deaf. And so that'll be sort of a project with her. And then way down the line, last thing, I think at a certain point, because of the journey she's been through, she'll start to at some point realize she might sort of have some feelings for Thanatos, and she will go to Thalia. But what the fuck is up with that? And I think at some point, the god and goddess of death might become consorts, and kind of like the Queen of the Damned, become the creepy statuesque, like kind of on the thrones. But yeah, that's way down the line. She'll kind of have that little spark, but nice. She enjoys her creepy. She enjoys kind of the magic still.
I think true to Katara's story, because we've seen Silenos mingling with Nyx and how sort of ambiguous Nyx is, more of a concept than an entity. Who would it be but Katara who would find a way to experience that consort relationship with the concept, the pure primordial essence of death? And I think there comes a time where many myths are scattered about Katara, where after time it is forgotten what exactly Katara is, and as you two are more thought of like as an essence. And it's like sometimes she looks like this, sometimes she looks like that, and there's all kinds of different interpretations of what you look like, but in truth the gods know it is Death's 14. And then Thanatos himself, and they wonder if you yourself are the embodiment of Thanatos, and it's interchangeable, and the mortals have lots of true to your domain of secrets. The mortals come up with many myths and tales that terrify about the essence of Katara, and only the very wise know about the court of death, where you hold counsel with your many reaper. I can't say it. Reaper. There it is. Reaper. Women.
And just to add to that, I do think at a certain point, if she can figure it out. There will be bits and pieces of like the memory of Katara that I think everyone kind of loses, because at a certain point she wants the mystery. So she kind of like, there will be like, how did she, necessarily take care of Kronos? There will be, again, she's going to purposefully weave that of like, you really don't have a full understanding. And the hope is that, again, maybe not everyone realizes, but she does want to take like little threads and kind of hide them away.
And perhaps the great secret that maybe only Zeus, Athena, and yourself really know, that the beginning of the feud was perhaps that was the knowledge that we're taking from the libraries of Athena, the method of Kronos' destruction, the identity of Katara, these things that give credence to who you are and what you're capable of, and turn you into this sort of ambiguous mystery, the mysterious god of secrets and death that nobody really knows anything about. Very cool. And that will be Katara. Excellent. Who next? Halfway there.
I've got mine ready.
All right. Let's hear it.
Gyasi's is a reasonably simple plan. The first is to he's going to attach his familiar to Thalia's living sister, so she has a perpetual guardian. And Hemera will select additional cats as that sister has children. For Constantinople, Gyasi will continue to look after Thalia's father and will foster the regrowth of Constantinople, making it a hub of trade for now and into the future. And that is going to be recognizable because the cat population in Constantinople is going to continue to grow. And anybody in Constantinople who takes care of the strays gets a little boon, a little benefit. And in a similar way, something is similarly going to happen to Crete, because Gyasi spent a lot of time in Crete before all of this started, and the cat population was already reasonably prodigious there, but that will also continue to grow. He will foster both the thieves, but not so much for the gathering of wealth, but for the game that the taking is, and the chase that the investigators have got. It's not so much an act of vengeance thing. It's a needing to catch that thing that's just beyond your grasp. And when he's not doing those two, he's going to take the Skyphios and he's going to sail beyond the Pillars of Hercules and to the north from there. And he is looking for a green place. And will eventually stumble onto an island that is heavily imbued with the Fae, the Tuatha De Danann specifically. And he will introduce the druids to the Tuatha Dé Danann and to Ireland. And that's how he's going to allow them to come back into the world, by it taking place outside of Greece's domain. So there isn't that memory of challenge. There isn't that memory of pain and consternation. And under the auspice of folks who share very similar outlooks. And when that's done, he'll just continue to foster players of the game. Be it a pirates or gun runners. I absolutely see, infinitely down the future line, the Sherlock and Moriarty, the Nicolas Cage movie, Gods of War, where he plays the arms dealer and Ethan Hawke plays the cop that's after him. Those are the types of relationships that Gyasi is specifically looking to foster. And that's Gyasi's epilogue.
Like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in Heat.
Exactly. Exactly.
I will say that at some point Zeus gives you the domain of cats. And rivals, I will say, like rivalry, essentially. He'll add those to your portfolio, and true to your own domain, as watchfulness ought to be constant. It spreads quite wide as you make these many travels northward, and much like many gods, your influence reaches other countries, and you might be known, similar to your father and Basset, you might be known under different names, but the same domain, same appearance, the same god, but slightly different by different cultures, all the way up to Ireland. And yes, you cultivate this like grand rivalrous game that becomes something of a just like a thing in society, like the rat race or night and day. It just becomes this duality concept that is just ingrained into culture for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's just like, oh, what rivalries? Like it's a very well-known thing by all, and something everybody experiences. And the game grows and grows as the many hundreds of years pass, and your domain remains alive and well for a long time. And to bring us to the result of the druids, Alicia, you are called upon indeed, Gyasi, here and there to meet out minor issues between the gods of the druids. Occasionally, maybe there's a issue where a god sort of sneaks their way into the lands of the druids, and you help Zeus and the circle of druids sort of resolve issues, and you kind of act as like the secret police between the two of them, and ensure that fairness and balance is kept.
Question: which one would be most likely to break in?
Which god?
Yeah, which god would most likely try to sneak in?
I don't know. They would all have various reasons for doing so. I think Pan would be very. I don't think Pan would. He doesn't, as much as he's kind of. He isn't one to like stir up divine levels of trouble. He's just kind of a playboy a bit.
Dionysus because he wanted to party.
I don't know. Maybe it's more of like a Demeter thing where she's like pissed about her domain, and
I can see that.
Yeah, and you kind of help facilitate that Gyasi to the point where, again, a century later, finally, like the druids ease up, and it's so difficult. I'll tell you what, Gyasi. I'll leave it to you to decide sort of the result of things in your your pursuing of that, because there is a rivalry between the druids and the gods that seems to remain forever, where Zeus and the gods want to spread their power and their domain into the lands of Gaia. And the druids want to rebuff this. And they want it so that, the politics would be that it would be very possible that a civil war would break out and the gods would claim dominion in the druid lands. What is your action in those? Do you eventually allow this conquest?
My intent is to give the druids an opportunity to leverage. The Tuatha Dé Danann are gods in their own right. To allow the druids to leverage another pantheon, so they have somebody besides me in their corner going, no.
Got it.
And no one wants, as bad as a Titanomachy it was, full on pantheon versus pantheon. Yeah, nobody wants that either. That's worse.
Yeah, that's tough. We will say that
it's the mad arms race.
That is exactly
I can blow you up, you can blow us up. Maybe we should not blow up anybody instead.
Understood. We will say that there comes a time in history where there is a war, where the results of that war, who knows, maybe will be determined in another campaign one day, as there's much opportunity in this epilogue for, shall we say, volatility. And the druids essentially find themselves in a need to arm themselves against the gods, which Gyasi, you suggest they seek out another pantheon to explore that. The gods find out, war breaks out between the pantheons, and it's a bit of a mess. Let me ask, party members, a war breaks out between the gods and the druids, where the gods want to extend their influence into the realm of the lands of Gaia, and the druids want to keep their lands for themselves. What side are you fighting on?
Alicia will be a very lonely goddess at that point, because she will just have to stay out of it and just try to come in at the end and try to clean up what's left with forgiveness.
Fair enough. Try to keep the peace, neutrality. That's very good.
And hopefully everyone evolves later on and feels like they get cool with each other again.
We shall see. Silenos?
I was going to say, I'll kind of touch on this, but I think for a bit, Silenos might not be as present on Olympus for a bit, so maybe this is kind of that time. But he would, being the god of fellowship and divine service, try and preach unity between everyone, trying to find an equal basis, and then with that, supporting Alicia through that.
Absolutely, fantastic. Katara, goddess of death, you would have a lot of work to do during this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so she had already at some point offered Ayaya as a bit of a sanctuary for the druids and kind of misfits. It's like her land of misfit toys.
Yeah.
And I think again, I feel like Katara goes a little power hungry.
That is the nature.
And she might as well at some point, because I forgot to mention this, the book that she has Gift of the Protectors, she might use that to just be like, make a deal with death, and then you can just basically pop up and then kind of go away.
Oh, okay. I'll come back to this because this is very fun. But Katara, you kind of as ever, as the goddess of death, is just this enigma of passing on through life, and maybe don't take a side either, just kind of pulling strings in the background a little bit. Yossi, it sounds like that you stand with the druids.
Absolutely.
Understood. Thalia, is there a preference?
Thalia's time of war has come and passed. She's not interested in engaging in another war. If her friends call upon her, she might respond at that point, but until then she's in the land of love.
Land of love, baby. And I will say, we haven't gotten to you yet, Thalia, so I'm going to hold off, but okay, understood. And Ouroboros, mighty god of pain.
What does my wife think?
What are you gonna not fight with my dad? Our
Rude.
dad?
Oh no.
But it could be, it could be really fun. Just me and the bros.
Yeah, go kick their
Brewskis.
asses, man.
Uh,
Kick those druids' asses, bunny.
Okay.
You're the god of pain. Who's better to take the pain than the mortals?
So you don't mind?
I love you. No
Okay.
matter what. Go have fun. Destroy those fuckers, those tree-hugging fuckers.
I've been in
I'll see you in time
retirement
for
a
dinner.
long time, babe.
Go get him, honey. Go get him.
My
couldn't do it
favorite
without you.
news story is like Hercules and Ouroboros constantly asking their wives for permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These big
Ouroboros
ass
and Hercules are like-
mountains of men.
Yeah.
Fucking, and our wives are probably fucking like,
friends.
yeah, like
Yeah,
if
you
he
and
asked you,
Hercules
yeah,
are like,
he asked me.
Yeah,
Oh,
bro,
but
yeah, we're gonna go fight
there's
those
regular
druids.
wine deliveries from Dionysus to both of
I
your
was gonna
houses,
say, they're
but not
My wife
you
let me
two.
out of the house.
Martinis neat. Watching
Yeah.
you two go together.
Yeah. Did your wife say you could go fight the druids? Yeah, I know. Did yours?
That's all the
So,
wife, guys.
We're just standing there on the precipice about the fucking fight, and we just kind of look at each other. So you catch that episode of The Bachelorette?
Yeah. And you guys, you talk about. I imagine it's like Leonidas in 300, where he's gonna kick the guy in the hole. And you're like standing on the edge, ready to go to war. You like look back at your wife. She gives you the nod. You're like, and then you like jump in. What ends up coming is the lands of Gaia fall. They don't fall, to be very clear. The gods take dominion of the lands of Gaia. The separation of the planes is ripped a bit wider and brought into the mortal plane that it might be given new rules. And essentially the glorious time of druids ruling themselves comes to an end. They are left to enjoy their homeland and to live as they always have, but they come to a very new world where love isn't voluntary. It happens to them, where conflict comes to them, war comes to them, and they have to live lives as the same as any subject of the gods, and is also subject to both their wrath and mercy. And it's something that doesn't make them all very happy, but there is a faction amongst the druids that sort of secretly comes, are the Death Pact druids. Those druids who are obsessed with the end of life and find themselves outside the power of Gaia, who is an entity of life and growth. And they sort of ally their druidic powers with the necrotic, with the end, and become a cabal of great warlocks dedicated to death and its secrets.
What are the druids as who chose Lycia towards at this time after the end of the lands?
What was the question?
How do they feel about Lycia at the end of all that?
Not happy. But it varies. It's not a generalization. There's an initial generation of war-weary druids who are spiteful of the Olympians. And then those spiteful druids are taught to respect the Olympians. When they rebel, bolts of lightning and the earth churns and misfortune comes to them. And when they show at least respect, whether it be from fear or genuine homage, then things get a little easier from them. And such is the way of all things. And they come to, over the generations that cross the greatest archdruids remember the time of the Titanomachy, where it was sort of the beginning of the end of the golden age of druids. But the other druids, generations pass, and they kind of hold on to that ancestral spite for the gods, but learn to live with the new order.
Okay. Yeah, mixed opinions about Alicia for them, I guess.
And
Is
Tara, the goddess of secrets, the knowledge of Kronos' defeat is held very close to the chest by the Olympians, for it would be the key to perhaps the druids' revenge, should they ever find out.
For my own knowledge, I think I missed it. What side was Gyasi on?
Gyasi fought for the druids, is what he said.
Mm.
And in the end, like, as it is always with the Olympians, a slap on the hand from Zeus. There's no great repercussions for you, Gyasi. He's just like, basically like, good game, essentially.
It's rivalry.
Do I succeed?
It's rivalry.
Almost
Exactly.
wanted to like fight on the other side just to.
Just to fight Ares?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to, you know, hey man, hey, yeah, I'm protecting this village, you know.
Well,
right.
And Ares and
I'm
Athena,
sorry
as
you're not going to have
always.
any more kids, dude. You know, you may have beat me, but there's no way I didn't castrate.
Oh,
Oh.
the god of castration.
I know the way you work. I'm not letting that happen.
He goes into the jockstrap, like all metal jockstrap.
Ah, adamantium.
A quick
My
question.
wife made me this. It's actually a chastity belt, but we'll talk about it.
The first chastity belt from Hephaestus.
Legendary.
Last-
Oh my
Last question for me, Ryan. Does Alicia succeed in minimizing any of the damage?
god. Yes, you do minimize the damage. Forgiveness is something not that, because of their spite for the gods and their place amongst the gods, and the long history between the druids and the gods, and Gyasi's own hand in rivalry. Forgiveness is not easily found amongst the druids. Not ever. Not for the gods, anyway.
Well,
Okay, we got a couple more to get through. We're already running a little over time, but
Okay.
this is the last session, so we want to make sure that happens. So,
mhm.
Silenos, I will call upon you, my friend. Epilogue time. What do you get up to?
Yes, I think in the days immediately following, Silenos would like to undergo this transformation. This is kind of pre everything happening, so he would ask each of his fellow Demithots to come. He would get Artemis to come. He would ask Ouroboros to kind of guide him through if there may be pain in this process, and even the grief of it, and help him through that fellowship. He would ask Thalia to come, just to kind of give some of her grace and divine image. He would ask Alicia to come to kind of help him evolve into this different form and kind of do so more seamlessly. And then finally, the eye that's kind of always been watching him from the very first day. He would ask Gyasi to come to kind of help him keep an eye on his huntresses and ranger paladins through these times. And that's kind of a request that he would have for Gyasi. And then he would attempt to kind of undergo that form and make that sacrifice for...
You said you wanted to take on a different form. So in this process, your satyr appearance transforms into, and this is not the hard part, but turns into something of an image that you desire. And what you do is you pull from yourself the divine gift of, like, the Fae's resistance to magic, that thing from the lands of Gaia, that power, and you spread it amongst the huntresses. Now, the hunters of Artemis are primarily elves. And in doing this, Silenos, you bless these elves and give birth to a new race, a new sub-race of the elven people. One that is like the wood elves, but they're known as the wild elves. And they become this this race of magically resistant, like instinctual hunters that are built for guerrilla warfare, and are very tribal, but deeply culturally tied together. And they kind of become like the counterpart to Artemis's huntresses, where most of them are men. And these are sort of the hunters of Silenos.
That's awesome. Yeah. So he, in doing that, also would summon his hawk to kind of be with him there. During this ceremony, he would ask if Artemis could kind of grant this hawk like true sentience, so it has like full ability to move, act, think as its own. And he would ask Perseus, "You've been my most loyal friend forever. Would you help in divine service across the land?"
The great hawk. It was a hawk?
It's like a blood hawk, yeah.
A blood
it's like
hawk,
a big,
right.
big black bird.
Big black hawk. It gains sentience and will enter your service, and will indeed help in this manner. And mythology will know Silenos' sign, his messenger, is the Bloodhawk.
Awesome. Yeah, and then like whenever he wanted to hang out, he can. If he wants to be on Olympus, he has a spot in Silenos' temple. So yeah. Secondly, he would like to go and check up on the dwarves and visit Thisbe and check up on them.
And so you do. You find that Nikolos continues to happily work alongside the dwarves. You do find that what was her name again?
Thisbe.
Thisbe, that's right.
Yeah.
Thisbe works within the realm of Asclepius, the god of medicine, and is sort of accelerating that practice and is doing her best to learn more, and has sort of become this like the first surgeon, as much as one can be. She doesn't. A lot of patients don't make it, but some of them do, and that's enough.
Yeah. So no worries. Silenos, in whatever capacity he can, he would like to divinely bless her and give her some of his power in times. He might form a child at some point with her, just visiting every so often. This is another kind of big thing he would like to do. He might be the one to break into the lands of Gaia.
Okay, absolutely. Lo and behold, it is Silenos, maybe not someone everybody expected. Silenos, the god of service and bonds, who is a great god of stealth, being the Skulker god, sneaks into the lands of Gaia.
Yeah, he would like to go to the base of the tree of Gaia, where he had found the what was it? It was like the scimitar of the hearth, but it was just a sword when I had found it. Yeah. Yes. So he would like to take his double-edged scimitar that's now enhanced, kind of different, and he is going to snap it in two, right in the middle, because it's a double-edged scimitar, so it has one blade one side. He's going to snap it in two, and then just plant it in the base of the tree here.
Okay.
Just kind of do like a little prayer to nature, even to Alicia, actually, to kind of bless this in the natural realm and return it to the natural world. And then I like to think that maybe like an olive tree or like a redwood tree, something from like the Arcadian forest where Silenos was, kind of grows from it. And then he will take the other half and bring it up to Olympus and set the other one into the base of Olympus right outside his temple and have equal tree grow.
Absolutely. And in this, you do this, and you plant this blade at the base of that tree, and then you plant one at the base of Mount Olympus. And this is what ignites the war, I will say.
That's fine.
Upon that prayer, like Alicia, you have this like, oh, fuck moment is like you feel Silenos' presence from the lands of Gaia, and they surely find the blade at the bottom of the tree, and they take it as an act of aggression. And despite your best attempts, Kiasi, the things begin to escalate over the next like couple of months until it comes into a full-blown conflict. And during that conflict, many fail to recognize these red-leafed, beautiful trees grow from them. These beautiful things of nature that are almost blessings, connections made by Gaia herself from Silenos' like divine offering. And amidst all of this war, it's kind of almost symbolic, this sort of forgotten boon that was sort of the essence of the act at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he kind of does that in his prayer. He does a prayer. I'll give like a round. He does a prayer to Artemis to kind of help it, protect it, just because it's natural. One to Alicia, and then also one to Hestia to thank her for giving him another chance and setting him on this path again. And then that's his kind of final act of respect to Hestia and Artemis for giving him this boon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then from this, when he starts a war, he's going to be quite ashamed, really sad. People maybe are going to betray each other for a while, because Fellowship's suffering. So I think he's just going to go into kind of hiding for a couple of years. Just walking through Greece, using his Gloomstalker magic to conceal himself, using Disguise Self. And he is just going to be that god of fellowship on the road. He's going to be the water when the adventurer needs it, the cabin when it's raining too hard, and he's just going to help adventurers make it on their way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you do, and your power becomes a more subtle thing where people are like, where, like, sort of almost like, where's the god gone? But you're not gone. You just impart more significant boons onto individuals who are more deserving of it.
Just whoever needs it at that
humble
time.
God.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Doing what he can to make Greece a little bit better during this time.
Okay.
And then in his kind of bad, wrathful anger upon this, he's going to go to an individual back when Alexandra teleported him to that city. They met this performer who made fun of Silenos for being a satyr.
Okay.
Yeah, and he remembers it to this day. So so it's okay. He is going to curse that performer with the first case of clinical cursed depression. So in every room that he's in, he's going to feel sad. He's going to feel lonely, and he's going to feel out of place.
Oh.
Yeah,
and so
that's going to be probably the only curse that Silenos ever places.
And the band
plays on
My Chemical Romance forms.
There you go.
First.
And last thing, as the war goes on, I feel like Alicia would actually maybe not fight, but does intervene to help mitigate to save as many lives as she can.
Yep, as you said, absolutely.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Thalia. True to your neutrality in the war, and I think your consistent neutrality in the war, I want to ask you this, Thalia. You don't get involved in the war, but do you advocate for its end in any way? Or do you just kind of do your own thing and let that be what it is and mind your business?
No, I think she would advocate for time and diplomacy and I must have to.
Then as a quick addition, before I hear what you have to say, if you don't mind, Thalia minds her business for the duration of the war and the conflict and enjoys grace and love and family and whatever else that will come up from the epilogue. But as the war rages on and things are getting more desperate, finally Thalia appears. Finally comes out of sort of the cocoon of just like minding her own business and begins to sort of join Silenos and Alicia in this advocation for peace. And it is by the presence of grace that the war ends. And in the ending of the war, Zeus names you the goddess of peace.
I love that. I really do. That's so cool.
All right, what else does Thalia have in the epilogue?
So I think shortly after the revelries of the fall of Kronos, I would campaign across the lands of Greece and spread the word that the second Titanomachy is over and it's now time to build peace and grace. And I would take my 3 children and show them Greece and show them the lands that they are. It is now their home and the people that they're watching over now. And so that's the first thing she do. Kind of thinking. And I don't know if you remember, but in the 6-month downtime that we had, I campaigned across Greece that the Titanomachy would fall, like that its end was near. So she's kind of like closing that chapter. And then after that, she wants to go on a tour of lovers.
One of Thalia's famous tours.
Yeah. Absolutely. So she'll visit, and she'll bring Leonis with her if he wants to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. She'll visit Niobe first, in with the Amazons, and then she'll go to Nepenthe and the Drown. We'll check in on the progress of the temple being built in the Underdark. And Glendaid, who she can. She loves her temple, and she'll make it known that her amazing.
I hear you very well, honey.
Oh, sorry. Is this better?
Yep, much better. Fantastic.
Yeah, so she'll let it be known that she loves her temple, that the Drow have built for her.
Excellent.
Very pleased about that. She'll spend time with Nepenthe. She'll also go to Queen Lynthia, and Fierny and Laius, the two. Oh shit! What are they called? The escorts.
Oh, the Hetaria.
Yeah, Hetaria. Yeah, the two Hetaria.
You will have found that they have vanished, unfortunately, because your daughters have sort of set right a timeline, and those were 2 individuals from a previous time that were kind of brought here by the wonky powers of time. So they've kind of been put back to their normal place and time, unfortunately.
She'll happily introduce Theos to Leonis, and I'm sure they spend plenty of fun.
Eos?
Theos? He was the manservant that Thaya had.
Yeah, I recall. Yeah, he's out there just like he's got like a job now. And he's doing better.
Oh,
you know, he's like
No. He does not have a job. He is like bought and paid for by Thalia. He's living his best
You became a god. It's like you became a god, and he was like, oh, I guess my employment's ended. So yeah, he's gone and like started a family, and you like show up, and he's like, oh shit, and kind of like goes and joins like your clergy, and realizes that his service to you is not backed over.
Yeah, no way. He's bought and paid for. imagine he's happy about it though. And because I have resurrection that I'll probably hardly ever use, I want to bring Eric's back from the dead.
Ah, Eric's.
He was
Okay.
the first manservant that didn't get.
He was the first. Okay.
We're bringing Eric.
I think in the clergy of Thalia, there comes most of like the actual like priests there come to be known like the handmen of Thalia, and rather than it be like, and there are ladies amongst them, but there's like a lot of like manservant-y dudes who kind of like go from being like, yeah, you get a lot of those guys in your temple.
As long as they're beautiful.
Of course, that is required.
Okay. And I'll leave Leona's home for this one, but I also want to continue my little love affair with Athena.
Athena is like holding you by the forehead and is like, she's just like just not into you, and like
no.
you're still like, oh, Athena, and you're like all over her, and Artemis is like like definitely a feud breaks out between Thalia and Artemis, and Athena is just like reading her books while they're fighting it out because she's just
yeah, Thalia still has a crush on Athena.
yeah, I know, and Athena just doesn't come around. She's just like the one nut that Thalia could never crack.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Oh, and Dodo will also be brought into the fold of my followers. She was the one we had to leave behind because it was getting too dangerous for her, but she was a follower of Aphrodite. I don't want to forget about Dodo.
You don't forget about Dodo. Dodo becomes a proper cleric of the Goddess of Grace, and is brought into your clergy.
Excellent. And no, I didn't forget about Valerie. Of course not. I can only imagine Valerie's very busy with the war, and but she has a home with Leonis and I on Mount Olympus, and she can come and go as she pleases, and we'll be a very little throuple together.
Nice. Yeah, you guys have like a little throuple together, and I think when the war begins, she feels very betrayed that like you won't fight for her people, and like there's a long stretch where she like just like you guys like fall out of touch and she doesn't talk to you, and Leonis does go and fight on behalf of the druids to the best of his ability, but doesn't like he doesn't get in between you two, and he just kind of like he gets both of why you're doing what you're doing, why you feel the way you feel, but he does go and fight with the druids. So he kind of disappears for a little while as well while he's trying to fend off the gods and get the druids what they want, but isn't successful in the end.
Did you tell her that Valerie died in the war? Oh, you didn't tell her that part yet?
Oh no, I haven't told her that yet.
Oh shit.
No, I'll tell her after the game.
Okay. My fault. Spoilers!
What are you talking about? Her name's in my book.
Yeah.
I used that up, remember?
She hides in my house.
No, Silent used that up.
I think there are a couple of instances where like she should have died, but like Katara just like kind of ignores her. Just like because like she's like do collect it and like you die, and then there's like this shot that should have killed her. Katara's like no, and it seems that and if this makes sense for you, Katara, we'll say that like until many centuries have gone by and the powers of her like literally until like the 21st century she still lives, but only once her druidic powers have finally waned into nothing and her elven age has waned into nothing, only then does the sweet release of death come for her.
Kill me.
But otherwise there seems to be a pact between some kind of understanding between her and death, where death seems to just avoid.
I think Katara also remembers that Valerie is the one who brought them all, like helped them get all back. So I feel like it's probably like Katara feels like she might owe her in a sense. Death's a good friend to have, I imagine. But also, I think genuinely Katara just enjoys she it fully embraces like Baba Yaga's sense of like, make a deal with death and you can be in my book.
Yeah.
and then I'll
yeah.
just keep bringing you back kind of thing. So I think
Absolutely.
she does that, but then again, just the fact that if she can keep a little bit of secrecy of like, oh, I don't know where she is, she keeps evading me kind of thing, and just one up like keeping that sort of secrecy about the gods, she enjoys that part, which probably gets her into a lot of trouble. I
Yeah.
fully foresee Katara being like the big bad in some other version of skipping.
Hell yeah.
The question
Hades
we're all
doesn't.
wondering.
Hades doesn't mind though. Like he's the god of the dead, and he facilitates the dead. How they die is not his business. That's not something he cares about. But yes, you get it. And for that reason, you have like safety in the land of the dead, where like if you get into a little too much trouble, you just kind of go stay with old Uncle Hades. And
I also think Katara still respects Hades more than Zeus, especially after that whole showdown, where Zeus talks about the fact that like, oh, he had one blow up or like whatever, like, and you did this, and she knows like from mythology of like, she understands how volatile Zeus is. So I think he lost a lot of fucking points in that moment, where she's like,
You won't say that to his face,
with
though.
the dead.
She's
not stupid.
Okay.
Okay. Quick question: before Valerie passes from this world, does she and Thalia ever really make up?
yeah, they do.
No, it's like a forbidden love.
With my
They love
prompting,
that trope in books.
With my prompting, and probably.
Forgiveness does take time. It takes. It does stale. There is a section of time where Thalia and Valerie are very much on the rocks, and there's like probably a good couple of years where Valerie just doesn't want anything to do with it, and eventually, as Thalia is capable of doing, woos her back to the dark side. Sorry, Thalia, keep going. What else you got?
Yeah, so I also have one last lover that I would like to continue to visit. Secretly, and I would pray to Katara frequently.
Who?
Yeah, on it would be Zeus.
Zeus, right? Zeus. I think there's a lot of friction between you and Hera for a while, and I think Zeus puts it to you, Thalia, that he didn't expect the potency of your three daughters. He thinks that it would do well to have the other three to accompany them, but he leaves it in your decision if you would like to bear three more goddesses of time.
If I see my daughters like suffering and struggling,
buffering, is that what you said?
Suffering.
Oh, suffering. Sorry, I thought you said buffering, like internet buffering. I was like, that's incredible. Apologies. They do seem like not the present Nia of the present. She seems fine, but your future and past daughters are like, they're very like out to lunch individuals, where they're just like one with the future and the past, and like you take them to like go see Greece, and they're just like not present. Obviously.
Yeah. Then I would, bear three more goddesses of time to help relieve their burden.
You would bear three more children, and we spoke of it, and I hope I'm remembering right, but you do give birth to the Thief of Time, the Giver of Time, and the Flow of Time would be the domains of the other gods. There would be the one who takes from people, those who spend time with their lover. Time seems to pass so very fast, and everyone knows that is the Thief of Time. And when you're away from your lover, time seems to stretch on forever, and that is the Giver of Time. Not always a positive thing to be given lengths of time. And then there's the giver that tempers the two, who ensures the stability of the present and keeps things flowing in a right way. And time seems to, and it does help. It does help. It does make things feel a little bit more normal as they've always been, and time feels a little less unrelenting with the birth of these other 3 daughters of yours.
Okay.
If Thalia wants, Katara would help keep them secret to protect her sisters from Hera's wrath.
I will say Hera does agree for the sake of the domain of time functioning properly, because she can be spiteful, but she is the queen of the gods first, and there is something she does respect her nature as a sovereign before her nature as a married woman. So she does understand the importance of this and will sort of make peace with the fact that these other 3 daughters need to be born, and doesn't take revenge for it.
To be clear, though, she's still trying to.
Oh, I know.
Zeus.
Don't get me wrong. Once those 3 daughters are born, it's fucking free game. And whenever you sneak around with Zeus, occasionally you get caught with Hera, and there's all kinds of trouble where she does then start. Your family remains safe thanks to the many guardians Gyasi has given them, and the watchfulness of the rest of the group. And Katara, you sort of, whenever maybe like a poisonous snake comes, and the goddess of death just kind of like flicks her leg out of the way from the bites, and death never seems to come for them in any sort of unnatural, vengeful way.
Sadly, that comment about all the friends being watchful, I can't be watchful while that's going on. My wife put me on baby duty for like 100 years. They're like binge watching like all the shows, so yeah.
We're doing Love Island right now.
I can't leave. Sorry.
It's really just a lot of, and what's funny is that all the plays are just like about Thalia and her many suitors, and you're just like you were there to experience it. So you're like,
I was literally about to do this when you did that.
yeah, you're at the same time, yeah.
Even Alicia eventually gets bored of this stuff. Like, what else is on?
You guys were like, I was fucking there. I know who she goes with.
She's gonna do this. Then she's gonna sleep with them. Then she's gonna sleep with her. Then she's gonna sleep with both of them.
And you find that nobody wants to watch it with you anymore, at least as you just start like naming it before it happens, and then you find yourself not getting to go with
I start to stand up, and then she's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "To get popcorn."
Good. Give me some.
You want butter or kettle? Okay. Yeah, well, I know what you want. Okay.
Yeah, watching Ouroboros and his wife Alicia's privately happy. Like, you know what? I'm happy I never got married.
So the big question everyone wants to know: when does Gaia wake up? What happens?
Well, I'll ask first and foremost. Does anyone here spill the beans to Gaia?
No.
I don't.
Spill the beans, huh?
Yeah, so you gotta do it.
Does anybody contact Gaia in her slumber and reveal to her the knowledge that Kronos has been slain by the Olympians?
Ooh.
She's gonna be fucking pissed.
Yep.
Nope. I'm not doing it.
I don't know. You did contact
Yeah,
her
see?
and let her know something.
No, I didn't.
Gyasi will threaten Zeus with that reveal and say, I'm happy to negotiate, but you have to do it in good faith and come to the table.
This is what could save the druids.
It could. It
Zeus
very well
would
could.
stand from his throne and lightning would flow from his body, and he would say, and tell me, why should I not extinguish your celestial spark here in this throne room?
Because the information's already out there.
All right.
I'm willing to negotiate in good faith, but we have to come to a conclusion. This is hurting everybody.
And he would agree. And he would say that he would tell you, and it depends. Let me ask you: when do you come to him and say this to him within the timeline of things?
It's the war has gone on for longer than it should have. There's been losses and setbacks probably going to both sides, and it's become the painful grind that every protracted war becomes. And it's, let's get to the table, let's talk about it, see if we can find. You've got Thalia and Silenos and other people saying, listen, come to the table, and neither side wants to come to the table. Gyasi's probably more willing to come to the table, and I would imagine the Olympians are more recalcitrant about coming to the table. And it's one of these, I've got a nuke, I don't want to use it, don't make me use it.
Mutually assured destruction.
I think he would say, so with Thalia's coming forth to advocate, such is the power of the tender one in the ear of the mighty one. I think Thalia is the large influence that brings Zeus to the table, and yours, Gyasi, that reinforces it. But he does tell you, he says, I will go to the table, but you threaten me with this again, and you will become Starlight forever.
I'm just trying to get the right thing done. We've had this discussion before. I hope we don't have to have it again.
We won't have it again, because it will not result well for you. And he does indeed come to the table, and he does, and peace being essentially, Zeus shows up and to when the druids are worn and weary, and says, submit to them, essentially. He says, this is your chance at submission or destruction. And they submit to the will of Olympus, and that's how Olympus gains dominion. And kind of walks away with that, which is sort of and to your point, Gyasi, he's it's a bit of a your move. They're mine now, your move. And kind of is let's see if you pull the trigger.
Fucking do it, dude. We're out of the campaign. I don't give a fuck.
When he says that stars thing, you guys do see Silenos does an intense frown grip, he's not holding a bow, but deep anger.
You know what I love about how Gyasi pulled that together? There wasn't a bit of anger or malice or anything in that. It was look, I have the means to destroy all this shit. I'm King Kong in this motherfucker. But I'm willing to talk to you. Let's just talk. And Zeus is pissed about it. Fucking.
Yeah, he's a temperamental bastard.
Yeah, I would speak to Gyasi privately and advise him, let Gaia sleep. She deserves that.
And I generally agree. But this had to come to a stop. And it was the only stick big enough to bring somebody to the table.
I agree.
And between you, me, and the trees, eventually all of us will pass on to Starlight, including Zeus.
I'll be honored to be Starlight with you, Gyasi.
Zeus essentially makes it known to Olympus that the waking of Gaia would be a devastation that they haven't seen since the Titanomachy, and whatnot, and we'll make it known he fully intends to punish anybody who would make it aware as to Gaia what has happened, and not and threats. And he would sort of make that known in his court. But returning to, because we keep getting so very distracted, Thalia, apologies. Is there anything else?
Yeah, a couple more things, but probably pretty quick. Gaia does want to visit her father and sister, and spend time with them. And she also wants to petition to have a temple built in
Where?
Athens, her home city.
Well, here's the thing. You're a god, so you don't petition, you command. So yes is the answer. Maybe you show up and you're very like, oh, it would be nice if, and they're like, I'll get down on their knees and bow. Yes, and Thalia, you've already established many temples, and before the epilogue, and many more will pop up throughout the land. So yes, you will have temple.
Thalia's a little vain, and she loves those temples.
That's okay.
And then she wants to meet Adonis, her father, and get to know him a little bit better. She wants to check in on the nymphs and make sure they're doing okay. As much as possible, she also wants to get the party together at least once a year for reunion episode. Just like dinner and drinks, and just to check in on how everyone's doing. And she'd solicit the help of the God of Fellowship for sure to get everyone together. And maybe some reunions are a little feistier than others, especially during the war, but she wants to try to keep the party together as much as possible, and have regular nothing. She's also so she has wish back because Leonis gave it to her, but Leonis lost wish giving it to her, so she's
Want to play some more tennis?
Yeah, exactly.
Roll me a D100, see how it goes.
Okay. Because I figured eventually we'll both get it back.
Muted Orgos.
'81.
And with that, you restore Leonis's powers of wish again. He says, "Thank you, honey." He gives you a kiss on the cheek,
You're so
and then he gives you like a cold compress and helps you out while your strength returns to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing she wants to do after the war, after many years of enjoying her lovers and raising or getting to know her 6 daughters, and she is maybe, I don't know, like on Mount Olympus with Leonis, and they're in bed just snuggled up, and she will look up at him and ask for his child, and if he would be willing to start a little family with her.
To answer some things about Leonis as it pertains to this, yes, of course, he is more than happy to, wants to. I think he ends up persuading his allies to stay in this particular timeline, and manages to get them to agree, and they do hang out, and the children of Greece do join the Olympian pantheon in their own respects, basically becoming minor gods underneath their parentage, and Leonis becomes a god of truth, and a minor god of love and truth, and the bardic craft of magic. And he agrees, and you two will bear a child together. What would the domain, do you think, of this child be, Dahlia?
It'd have to be a minor god of love as well, I think. Definitely.
Aphrodite begs you to stop making her more of a grandmother. Stop. she knows that she can't technically get older like a mortal can, but it makes her feel old, and it becomes kind of a running joke.
But I think something that Leonis and Thalia share over the course of their eternal love is an infatuation for one another. They always are in that honeymoon stage, and I would like their child to be, well, you can roll for it if it's a boy or a girl, but the god or goddess of infatuation. Like that.
It is a little girl, based on the dice anyway. And she absolutely, she becomes a god of, infatuation. That's sort of, she basically becomes the god of like the honeymoon phase, but just like, she becomes like the goddess of like new love, and she works very closely with her uncle Eros.
I love that. Perfect, and that's it. Thalia's gonna live happily ever after, one way or fucking another. She's done for.
Absolutely. With that, I would ask the party, is there any NPCs you'd ask about their epilogues, or any questions you would have about the epilogues as we close off?
I'll start off. I've been ready to go. First of all, what? Yeah, Mike, which? Similar to Thalia, like which do I have a boy or a girl?
You have a boy.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. He's gonna be a barbarian when he grows up.
Sure.
What happens to the NPCs and the Lands of Gaia's?
Well, it's a lot of them.
Okay, just generally, just the main ones: Ian, Warren, Valerie, and Maeve.
I don't think that the war with the Lands of Gaia happens for a while, probably for a couple of decades. And when it does break out, that there's a lot of conflict with the circle of the Archdruids, and many of them die in the war and are replaced as such as war. The only original Archdruid that gets out alive and remains part of the circle is Valerie. Ian Warren perishes, Zephyr perishes, and
Maeve.
he had a very fanatical following amongst the druids.
Yeah.
Very contrarian to you especially, but only Valerie makes it out of that very long war, and that's probably what is like the sort of enough thing. That's probably the trigger that gets Thalia out to say something, because like Valerie becomes the last original Archdruid and kind of the target of the gods at a certain point, and then Valerie and then I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, Thalia, but I imagine that becomes like sort of, okay, I got to do something, or she's gonna die, and that's kind of what instigates the piece. Is like maybe the death of Ian Warren is like he goes, and Valerie's like the last original member. And a new circle of Archdruids appears, and druids come and go through life and death.
Mm-hmm. They all have very mixed opinions about me, I'm sure.
There's a lot of hate for Olympus, and a large amount of following that specifically doesn't like you, Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
What caused this war again?
Silenos absconded into the Lands of Gaia, and in respect, Plant broke his scimitar and planted one at the base of Olympus and one at the base of the mother tree of Gaia. And that kind of intrusion kind of lit the powder keg. Like everybody knew that this was going to come to a head one day, and that kind of lit the spark.
Damn.
Well, Alicia takes solace in knowing she got as many people as she could.
The olive tree that started the war.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Silenos.
Yeah, I know. All I did was kill everything the entire campaign. No worries.
Yeah.
All I did was basically single-handedly end the Titanomachy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Good deeds and bad outcomes. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. I can't throw mountains.
I'll put something forth too. Is that as you guys enter into godhood, your personalities do change. You find that amongst all these massive egos and the having such substantial power at your fingertips, very quickly you find like your personalities and your egos sort of inflate and sort of kind of like magnify times 10. So your anger is more volatile. Your like lovingness sort of grows even greater, and like emotions and triggers become much more intense as gods because of the power you wield in the nature of your godliness.
Mm. Do giants make it to the 21st century?
Giants make it. They are nothing if not a durable race, a mighty and durable race. And though they always remain on the fringes of society, like mythological creatures themselves, and do eventually divide into the various factions, fire giants, stone giants, and so on, they do remain around for all time. There are sections of time where there are giant hunts by various people, where there are like civil wars amongst the mortals or wars with the giants amongst mortals, and there are conflicts that occur in history as they are wont to do. Ares obviously makes that all start.
Curse on your family for 7 generations.
Yeah. But yes, they survive and for the most part thrive.
Sorry, he said Silenos put Miralax in Ouroboros' gravy at the Friendsgiving. So, fuck you, you warmonger.
Fuck you, warmonger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Ares is like a big fan. He goes to you all the time, Sonos. Like maybe to the point where you don't like it. Where he's like, loved that move, by the way. Like always going to be a fan of that move in Atlantica.
He becomes your biggest fan now.
Yeah, Ares loves Silenos. He's like, loved that. That was great.
If it wasn't for you, this would have never happened. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Really.
And he's
Yeah,
like,
I
"Dad,
know.
come on,
I
keep the
was
war
trying
going."
to. I was. Yeah. Yeah.
Poor fucking Silenos.
Anyway, Ares, good to see ya. And he like transforms into like just the saddest looking old man and just walks off.
And Ares is very used to this. He's used to people like, but he's like, this is great. Everything's great. Incredible.
What
And
happens,
go ahead.
what happens to Kyros?
To Kyros. Kyros becomes he becomes sort of like he doesn't become a god, but he certainly becomes like a celestial, and I think he enters like the retinue of Ouroboros. He becomes sort of like your archangel in a way, Ouroboros, where like you have these, you like want to punish people with pain, and he becomes sort of the right hand of pain, essentially.
Dope.
It's like
he
one
ends
of
up,
your
forming.
warriors.
Yeah, he's like one of your warriors, and he ends up like during the war, he ends up like forming like this like celestial legion of like warriors of pain, and
yeah,
fights the
dude.
druids, gains
I'd
his
play
shield
one
and
of those
spear.
characters. I would play the fuck out of one of those characters.
Yeah, a legion of So that's what he does. He becomes like the angelic champion of the warriors of pain, essentially.
Dope. My boy Kyros really came around.
Yeah, he got yo-yoed back and forth until finally, like, Zeus was like, "Death's off the table. Death's off the table. True polymorph, enough." Like, sick of seeing your ass and dealing with you. Like, you're done.
Kind of what happened. And I was playing Zeus at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, man.
What happens with the drown?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
yeah,
Inquisitor,
nice.
come on.
The drow stick to their domain. They never liked the light, and Thalia, you lead them to like an era of grace and help them find a sort of softer way. To a point, the world underneath the surface is a harsh one, and is not one that facilitates soft people. The land itself makes them strong because of the suffering it induces. And they end up actually bringing forth worship towards Ouroboros, the god of pain and purpose. He's like, oh, what was that? But yeah, so they sort of become worshippers of grace and worshippers of pain. And that becomes what their society is built on. And they seek purpose for their people. And many leaders come and many leaders go. Some of those leaders more warmongery than others, and maybe they return to their savage ways for. The god of grace would sort of steer them from that. I will say that they become sort of a quiet hand in the background that wages war with those who would disturb peace. So they kind of become those warriors that like fight the fight that nobody wants to. They go unrecognized and are largely forgotten to the history of the surface world, but
Skulkers?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to get to that. They end up worshiping the god of skulkers and become these like basically like kind of like Assassin's Creed, where they like fight in the dark to serve the light and go unacknowledged by the surface world and sort of put down threats to world peace for all intents and purposes. And that kind of becomes their domain, where they do their duty to peace, no matter the pain. And that becomes their purpose.
Fucking rock solid, man.
Just cry a single tear. Is there anything else? Anyone else before we... Oh, Katara.
I can't find her name, but what happens to that fucking cleric that Thalia hates?
Thetis.
Oh.
I was gonna ask that, but I didn't want to bring up
she
the
was
drama.
You got stoned to death.
Oh,
Stoned to death.
right. I forgot because it was the curse. I was like, I can't
Wait.
remember what happened to her.
Wait, Thetis, was that the
Yeah.
one who was traveling with you guys for a while?
Yeah, so as a reminder, there was a prophet, sort of like, a prophet, a diviner, who followed Aphrodite, but didn't really like go in for Aphrodite very much, and there was like a sort of a catty back and forth relationship between her and Thalia. And Thalia, when she became a god, decided to sort of take away her grace, and she started to grow warts, and
Right.
she got ugly, and that was taken as a sign of disfavor from the gods. So the people of her village didn't want to like get in bad with the gods, and basically buried her to her neck and stoned her to death. So as to appease the gods.
Good job, Soraya.
Just put that out there. Double nat 20s for us to get a cleric NPC, and we stoned her to death. Yeah, awesome. Just so, that's how we got Thetis, by the way. I got 2 nat 20s on an advantage roll.
Impressive.
Just to remind you guys how
Okay.
it showed up.
Last thing. One other NPC I heard about, there was a fawn NPC who was a bard, I think. Whatever happened to her?
Eloy, or
Boy,
Tylenos
Eloy.
protects
What-
Eloy
what
with his
Caleb?
celestial life.
They get
Eloy-
hitched, right? Come
I
on.
would forsake my children to protect that bard.
Well, we know where
Eloy
one of
be-
Sileno's children comes from.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
100%.
Maybe. Eloy be basically like having been trained by the muses and given confidence by the Demithots to trust in her abilities and her craft. She travels the lands and tells the stories of the Demithots and is sort of the central figure. She becomes a sort of like Homer figure where like some of the greatest, most long-lived stories come from Homer's Odyssey and Iliad. And similarly, like the songs of Eloi become well known into the 21st century, and are documented by historians of the time. And they document the mortal, heroic tales of the Demithots and their many members. Becomes largely known as like a great historian and entertainer and bard. And yeah, Silenos, if you wanted to make that happen, she definitely.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that definitely happens. And she definitely gets a godly pan flute. Silenos gives her his pan flute that he's had all his life.
Amazing. And she gives birth to a satyr, a boy, who becomes a demigod satyr who travels the land, and I think more inclined to your side of things, she ends up becoming a paladin. She becomes like a paladin of the Oath of the Ancients, and roams the land protecting nature and fights in the war.
Doesn't matter what side, just the good fight. Doesn't matter what
she
side.
Fights. We don't even talk about
matter what side. Literally, literally,
the good fight
for the little guy.
Oh, we won't talk about if that ends up as a Greek tragedy or not.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
she can be a legend, or he can be.
She's a legend.
He can be. He can be a legend.
He becomes a legend and fights the Druid War, and that's all we need to say about that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm good. That's it. That's all.
That's all we need.
Mostly, I'm curious about Medea because pretty sure she could live for fucking ever. But what happens like the three eldest acolytes, broken oracles situation there?
They hold down the fort with the cult of Hecate. They ensure that basically the cult of Hecate extends to the cult of Katara as well, where they worship secrets and witchcraft and paths and death. And eventually they pass. Medea does not. She basically becomes like the leader of this cult and does so for eternity. Like into the 21st century, she becomes this like millennia old vampiric leader to the cult of Hecate and Katara, and becomes reputed as one of the, like in the quiet secret places of the world, is reputed as basically like a keeper of secrets. And she's like she's one of the few individuals who's seen the inside of your vaults of secrets, and still retains that knowledge, but is ardent to your side of things and does not share those secrets. She's known to be a store of magnificent secretive knowledge, but keeps it to herself.
Okay.
And well into the 21st century does your cult dwell under her leadership, and she remains ever a child of the Drow. She's like Claudia from Interview the Vampire. She lived for hundreds of years. She lives for like more than 2,000 years. She never gets slain.
Oh yeah, she's in the book.
Yeah, she's in the book. And she probably becomes like an archmage at some point too. Like she's wicked powerful. She has like the full spell book.
Nice.
Hell yeah. If there's no one else, then I'll say to you all, we come to the end of our tale. The Demithots, as told by the bard Eloi, echo through the eons. All of you will be known alongside the Olympians in song and tale, alongside Hercules and Zeus, the Medusa, Perseus. All the great heroes will be second to the Demithots. You have fought and bled mortal blood. You have drank ambrosia and became immortal. And that immortality will last for all time. You will feud with each other, with the gods. You will war with factions and punish and give mercy and peace to the world. The Greek gods are not perfect. And neither are any of you. And we wouldn't have it any other way. It's powerful to know of these entities watching down, these gods of pain and service and death and thieves and grace, mingle with each other, and the mortals continue their lives the best they can under their leadership, their divine leadership. And as we come to the end of our campaign, I hope all of you will remember, as this mortal world and the Olympian world will remember your tales for all time. And should not and will not be forgotten. And that is where we will bring the campaign to a close.
Oh, man. Oh, that was so good.
Good job, guys.